teammates get ready to go. Time to bring the action. You betcha. The action like nowhere else at a track like nowhere else. This is Talladega. This is the Yellawood 500. Let's go. McDowell's got his teammate Todd Gilliland right behind, giving him a nice push. Cindric on the high side. The front row guys are working well together, straight from the drop of the green.
You can already see toward the back of the pack, some drivers are trying to make that outside line work 3 wide.
Brad Keselowski was one of those. He's up on that third lane. You saw a good shot earlier of Joey Logano, and this is Daniel Suarez having to serve a drive-through, a pass-through penalty, unapproved changes to the car, specifically the roof, and this is going to hurt.
It's going to hurt. The 99 won't go a lap down because of this, but now he'll be by himself on the racetrack. The pack, the draft, the air of all these cars much faster than the 99 by itself.
Daniel Hemrick jumped up to lead that outside line. He saw the teammates, the Roush teammates, the 6 and the 17, Keselowski and Buescher. He wanted to be in front of those to lead it. Big push right here from Keselowski. The BuildSubmarine.com camera giving us great shots.
It was the best qualifying of the year for Daniel Hemrick. You see him up ahead. And now it's 4 wide. Keselowski found himself in the middle, and he's still there in the middle. 4 wide into 1.
Yeah, that was an aggressive move. Denny Hamlin wanted to lead that pack, and he left that bottom open for Keselowski, and Keselowski took it.
I think Denny thought that 3 wide would be the max this early. Brad, different opinion, and now the 11, after a top 10 qualifying effort, will fall to the back. You wonder if this will change the mindset. The guy behind the wheel, does he go into conserve mode, try to stay back there, or does he dig his heels in and try to fight back to the front?
You know, that's a great point, Steve, because in Atlanta earlier in the year, a few weeks ago actually, a drafting-style racetrack like this, he decided to ride around in the back.
And
avoid the wreck. And he talked about being aggressive this race. As soon as he got aggressive, it didn't work out. And now he's at the back, so how does he respond?
You see that bright yellow car, Michael McDowell leading the pack. He's going to continue to change lanes, trying to pick up that help. You could see it from overhead, although he's very patient on the bottom. I expected him to kind of move up and pick up the top lane. There you go, the lane change. Pick up those RFK teammates, Brad Keselowski, Chris Buescher.
The Fords working well together. Ryan Preece, the 4th one in line in that Wonder Bread car.
The inside lane is not together at all. Look at the gap in between the cars on the inside line versus how much tighter they are on the middle and the outside. That makes it much less efficient. You lose speed with gap.
The air is so violent around these race cars. If something catches your eye, it could be the flaps on the hood. As we ride on board with Joey Logano with the Coca-Cola onboard camera, you've gone down the interstate and rolled down just one window, and you hear that air buffet around inside the car. Now imagine 3 times the speed, 3 times the air pressure. That pressure can get under the hood. You see those flaps start to open. Always catches my attention. There, you see it right there on the left side of the 8. Kyle Busch, the hood flap flying open.
Busch with a great qualifying yesterday, and his RCR teammate Austin Dillon. Both in the top 10. They went to the 2nd round of qualifying. Gilliland's on that low inside line. He's got Logano right behind him. Four Fords working the top line. And Michael McDowell leads that pack, the Toyota onboard, Tyler Reddick. Last week in Kansas did not work out the way that the 2311 driver, the regular season champ, wanted.
Yeah, won this race in the spring. Looking for a repeat performance to make up for that race. You mentioned that Kansas performance, subpar for Reddick.
That inside lane does not look very good right now. Seeing a lot of drivers in it. start looking to find a place to get to the middle. If there's nowhere to go, Steve, then it'll keep some energy on that inside lane. But if they start getting out of it, it'll absolutely destroy it.
Steve, something that I know that, you know, annoys you in a way is when people say it could be anybody. Anybody could win this race. And you say, well, what about the guys who are really skillful at it, who really work their craft at it? I asked Michael McDowell, the race leader this morning, as a kid who grew up racing open wheel cars on road courses, how have you become so good at super speedways? He said, because when I first started doing it, I hated it. Going 3 and 4 wide just didn't feel natural to me. So I went back and I studied those guys who were good at it. He said, because I don't believe that anybody can win either. So I made myself get good at it.
Everyone has the opportunity to win, and the results are nearly impossible to predict. But don't confuse that with the lack of talent it requires. These are the most talented stock car drivers in the world. And at this discipline, specifically here, there are a few that absolutely stand out.
Dave Burns, what you got?
Lee, we saw that early shuffle that took Denny Hamlin from an 8th place starting spot to the very back of the pack. There he is now riding around in the back, and it makes you wonder if the driver thought this was okay, if this was something that he did or didn't intend to do, if he was just dropping back on his own. Here's what he had to say.
Well, that sucked.
Succinctly, that sucked. He didn't necessarily want that to happen, but now, Jeff, he's just got to deal with it and race from there.
The problem, Dave, is that dealing with it's very difficult because it's 3 wide. Where are you going?
Where are you going to go?
Right? So how are you going to gain this track position back? There's plenty of time in this race between pit strategies, between cautions, and all these types of things. Denny can get his track position back. But it's not like he's just going to drive up there and just get to the front. Where are you going to go? And that's where you get frustrated as a driver. You start pushing the issue, trying to make something happen. Because the only way you can get going is to get your line moving forward. You've got to do your job to move your line, and that's just by good pushes.
You want to make a job for the driver even more challenging than 3 wide at 190 plus miles an hour? The first stage, 60 laps. These cars can run 40 to 45 laps on fuel. They'll all require a trip down pit road. Well, the crew chiefs ask themselves, how can we help my driver? Well, they come up with this problem of if we need less gas, we'll be on pit road less. So now I want you to be out here racing 190 plus, and oh, by the way, try to save some fuel along the way. Some are better than that than others. So many games being played throughout the pack.
Just going back to the Denny Hamlin point, Jeff, to underscore that, you said and Dave mentioned, he's going to make up the positions. Well, he's down 29 places from where he started. So some work to do for the 11. It's the Front Row Motorsport Fords out in front along with the RFK Racing Fords. It's the Blue Oval boys at the moment. Off to a fast flying start in the Yellawood 500. However, we have come to a slower pace. The first caution of the day, and it involves Trackhouse Racing's Daniel Suarez, the driver who had to serve a penalty, do a pass through, and then the pack caught him, Jeff.
He did, Pat. He did. The pack caught him, and instead of just going to the top or the bottom, he decided to try to go to the middle. He was trying to catch the pack so that he didn't lose it, so he didn't get lapped again. But watch right here. Everybody's getting by him. He tries to move up, and when he does, there's the 78 of BJ McLeod, and he ends up spinning himself out. That is an overreaction. Like, if that was too much being afraid of getting lapped twice. Had he gotten to the back of this pack, Steve, with as big of a turbulence is, I believe he could have stayed on to the back and just stayed one lap down.
That's totally on Daniel Suarez, 100%. BJ McLeod had no option right there. We talked about embracing the chaos. This is fighting the chaos. Daniel didn't do anything wrong to have to come down pit road. That's a team situation. So as a race car driver, you just have to play the hand you're dealt. We're going to see huge accidents. They're going to affect cars all day long. You just have to pick either the bottom or the top. Being kind of pulled into the pack, middle three, is just a place you cannot be.
William Byron won the lottery. He was the first car. He got a front row view of this. Watch, the Tootsie Chevrolet is about to go right and then aggressively left, and it happens right in front of William Byron and AJ Allmendinger.
That was so close.
That's purely the pressure of the playoffs, Jeff. I believe if this is a spring race, the 99 doesn't try this move.
Yeah, and again, just to recap what he's trying to do, he wants to get in the draft so he doesn't get lapped twice. He's afraid if he goes to the back of the pack, he'll lose the draft. I don't believe he would have. When they're three wide, such a wake gets created, it pulls you back into the draft. So, you know, Steve, you're right. It's the playoffs. It's the desperation of trying to make the next round. And what you hope this car isn't damaged to the point where it takes them out of being able to compete.
Suarez was always on the back foot as far as in the playoff points situation, and now that has further been magnified. As we head to the Peacock pit box, guys, what did you see? What do you think?
Jimmy, that's a tough situation, you know, having that penalty, putting Suarez, one of the playoff drivers, but mistake there. I have to agree with what the booth said there.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and it's tough inside the car. I'm not sure if Daniel prefers the rearview mirror that's in there or actually the video screen. And when you're seeing a gap and you're trying to plug that hole, your spotter's talking to you and you see him try to pull up, but man, the closing rate is just off, and unfortunately the contact is made and Daniel goes for a spin.
Every time I see that, I just can't help but think about William Byron, who came into this race as the points leader. And sometimes the luck is on your side, sometimes it's not. That time it was for William Byron.
Yeah, BJ McLeod is not a driver that races every week. And the last thing you want to do is be in an incident with a driver that is in the playoffs. That is not what you want to be part of, but BJ did nothing wrong.
And when I put that on Daniel Suarez, I also challenge his team. You know, when you always ask, what can a spotter and a crew chief do? You can try to reduce the panic, the emotion. There was multiple laps. That was lap 11. He pitted on lap 1. There's 10 laps between the pit stop and the accident. Tell your driver what's going to happen. Assure him that it's going to be okay. Be on his side. A driver at times can feel alone in the boat by himself out there, thinking he has to do too much. Coach him. Be part of the team.
You and Jimmy Johnson talked about it. Dale Jarrett, have a plan and stick to it.
Okay, so we're only really just getting going in stage 1, but already pit road's going to get busy. Marty, they're coming your way.
Defending winner of this race, Ryan Blaney, said his car was, quote, squirmy, especially down the front stretch, a little bit outside the fuel window, but Parker hard to pass up this caution to pit now.
Also getting fuel for the 22, Joe Logano, his teammate there. He was saving when he was running in the middle, Kim.
Going to be fuel only for Chase Elliott and Austin Cindric, both the cars at the bottom of your screen. Austin saying it was just a little snug on that run.
Let's check out the race off pit road. Let's see who's in the green. Good one for Austin Cindric. Really positive. And also Shane Van Gisbergen as well. So while Trackhouse celebrated Ross Chastain's win last week, they're scratching their heads now at this one with Suarez. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR is brought to you by Yellawood brand pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't have the yellow tag, you don't want it. Credit One Bank, NASCAR American Express card. Toyota, let's go places. And by Progressive. Save when you bundle motorcycle, RV, and boat insurance. Visit progressive.com. Great crowd, great day, beautiful weather. And we're up and running, and we want to say thanks to our friends at Traveller Whiskey for providing today's aerial coverage. What a sight.
Just every time. It doesn't matter how many times you come, Diff. Look at that place. It's unlike anything else. I mean, it just truly is.
And at night, that entire thing is a party. It is. It is exciting.
Interesting time for the caution. 45 to go, 44 to go, and we take the green flag. Maybe a lap or two outside their fuel window in the pack. I think the drivers will all try to save enough gas to make it on the restart. Might look a little funny. There'll be a big line of single file cars. They pitted the second time. So due to NASCAR rules, they can't grid up. So if it looks funny, having this odd single file line behind the pack, that's just part of the restart rules because of the extra pit stop.
All right, we're going to go inside and eavesdrop with the Team Penske #2 team of Austin Cindric and spotter Doug Campbell. Let's have a listen.
Pace car toss. Majority's bottom lane. 10 away. 5. Benchmark ready. Ready. Green flag rolling. We still have 12 cars in our lane. 17 getting a push to you, broke to your left. 17 getting a push to you, broke to your left. No one pushed to your left. No one pushed to your left. All 2 by 2. 17 still on this quarter. Still broke to your left. We're tighter. 3 is not to the 17 yet. He is there to the 6 now. 3 is to the 6. We are 3 wide. 10 rows back to 14. Pushing to your left. Half behind you. Our help closer. Pushing to your left. Our help closer. Pushing to your left. Our help closer. 1. Broke. Half. 3 pushed out by 4. Third lane. 8 rows back. 17, 12, 47, 22. 8 with you now. Bottom has 5 total cars still inside. Your help closer, not pushing to your left. 3's trying to push. Third lane, 10 rows back. Bottom lane, 6 total cars, still not pushing to your left. Half behind, quarter behind, tight behind, not pushing to your left. Half and half. First 4 still clear behind you. 17's on you. 22's no longer clear. The 8 jump. First 3 clear behind you. Third one being the 47. Blaney's 2 behind you. Pushing to your left in front. Still on to you. Half behind 17. Half broke to your left. Half 3/4 behind 12. Joey's not clear. 47 still is. You are clear right now. McDowell soft. 1 behind. Just the 17's clear now. Just the 17's clear. Half and half. You're middle. You're all clear. Help's not. 17's not clear now. 17's not clear. Even equal behind. Even equal behind. Inside 6. You're still clear to the top. 17 is not. Middle, nothing in front. Middle, nothing in front. Even equal. Just the 34 pushed out. 17 still tight to you. 17, 12, 47, 22 with you. Nothing in front. Even equal, not pushing either lane other than you. Half behind.
You think we talk a lot. How about that? The lexicon of a spotter in the NASCAR Cup Series. Jeff, you're so familiar to it. It's a language unto its own.
Yeah, it really is. Every driver and crew chief, they kind of have their own language. But as you're watching Doug Campbell, think about this. You know, he puts his binoculars up. They all do it when they're away from him. It's about 3/4 of a mile down to turn 3. They put their binoculars up. They look at it from there. And then when they get close, they pull it down. And the whole time, they're holding the button. Like, it's not voice activated. They're holding the button and pushing it while they talk. Now he's got his binoculars down. At these types of racetracks, Steve, it is a full-time job.
Full-time job, and amazing the amount of information, the shorthand, their own languages you mentioned. And how about, I heard 3 wide, 10 rows back. He's giving information to his driver 20, 25 cars behind him. When we start talking about the energy, that's what makes the difference.
This big box you see at the top, this camera angle is positioned right near the spotters. That's how far away it is.
So is he clear, Diff? You want to jump in?
No. No thanks.
The other thing you heard Doug saying is he kept talking about what the 17 was. You're clear, but the 17's not. The reason he was doing that is because if he wants the 17 to stay behind him, If he went into a hole, he was telling him the 17 can't go there. So if you want him behind, the 17's not clear. You can make the move, but he won't be able to move with you.
There's a two-time Talladega winner, two-time Cup Series champ in the mix. It's the 8, it's the all-blue Lucas Chevrolet of Kyle Busch. There he is right in that middle lane behind Ryan Preece. Is this the day? Is this the day that Kyle Busch is going to see that checkered flag first? He's come close so many times in the second half of this season. Last week, had that moment with the guy he's following, teammate, Chase Briscoe. That's Brian Preece there, but it was Briscoe where that gap got really tight, and Kyle said that was on me, and then when he spun out by himself. But he's looked strong all weekend.
And one thing to notice also after this first caution, you can tell the intensity's picked up. Look at the gap between the cars. Everybody's tightened it up a little bit. They know to go faster, you got to tighten those gaps up to be a better pusher.
Lucius, this ring belonged to Maximus. I see.
Let's talk more about the 41, Parker.
Right, Lee, and you might notice that paint scheme there, the Wonder Bread paint scheme and ode to Talladega Nights. I was talking to Ryan earlier today about his plans. He said, I want to be aggressive. I want to get to the front of this field. He said, but I did my preparation last night by watching Talladega Nights. He vies for the lead here at Talladega. I guess it kind of worked. He's got a fast Wonder Bread Ford up at the front right now.
I love it. He also said that he gets to pretend to be Ricky Bobby for a weekend. That's pretty cool. And he's running well. Michael McDowell is about to notch up his 20th lap lead in that Loves Ford for Front Row Motorsports.
Don't give it to him yet. Oh, he got it. Teammate Todd Gilliland with a big push. Those guys work really well together, Steve. Todd really enjoys working with Michael. Michael is a very experienced racer, very open, honest with Todd, gives him a lot of advice. Good, really good relationship.
Enter the scene, the number 7 Gainbridge Chevy of Justin Haley. This track is very special to Justin. This is where he made his Cup debut back in 2019. That yellow, black, and blue car just flashing by. He's up on the high line there. 4th car in the high line.
The Daniel Suarez fans 2 laps down, but at the back of this pack. So cars still repaired enough to keep up on pace. 2 down to the field, but a lot of racing still.
If you weren't able to watch on the CW yesterday, the NASCAR Xfinity Series race, there was an added bit of motivation for car number 2, Austin Cindric. Austin entered today's Yellawood 500 last of the 12 playoff drivers. Well, that was exactly the scenario yesterday for Sammy Smith. And guess what Sammy did? He went out and won. He went from last to first in the Xfinity Series playoff points. So if Austin Cindric isn't motivated enough, that gave him an extra little nudge to say that it is real, it is possible, and at a track like Talladega.
And at a track where he has tons of confidence, right? If you look at what he's done on this type of racetracks, it is really good, the number of points he's earned. He's won the Daytona 500, consistently finds himself at the end of these races with a chance to win, Kim.
Yeah, and great at scoring stage points, and that was a big thing on the checklist for the team today. Talked to crew chief Brian Wilson. He said, if we don't score 15 or more stage points today, it's going to be a huge disappointment. They are looking for a 45-plus points day before they head to the Roval next week.
The playoffs are a points battle, but there's still that golden ticket, a win and you advance. I know it didn't help the one of Ross Chastain, a non-playoff winner last week, but every playoff driver, while this scares them, they also know the other side of that coin. If they're standing in victory lane, the stress is off for the round of 12. They've advanced to the round of 8.
Pleased to say that we are doing what we've done for you on every Super Speedway this year, showing you every green flag lap live. Welcome back. You're watching the Yellawood 500 here on NBC Sports. We're in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. And here at the one and only Talladega Super Speedway, I want to remind you that DraftKings Sportsbook is an authorized gaming operator of NASCAR. And this week, new customers can bet $5 and pocket $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the app, use the promo code SPEED when you sign up. DraftKings Sportsbook, the crown is yours. The numbers, the key numbers. Bottom left, who's got your attention, Steve?
Well, they're live odds, and I don't know if anything I've seen so far today has changed my opinion of the race. It's a long shot sort of race. You have Keselowski so good here, Logano so good here, 12-1 on your money, plus 1,200. Or you can go even further back, Cindric, McDowell. McDowell's leading at 14-1. So hard to predict, but you can live bet. You have an inkling of one of these. Look at all the onboards. So much going on.
Michael McDowell has been out in front for 27, coming up 28 laps. How's that going to hurt him fuel-wise, fuel economy-wise?
The problem is when you're pushing the air, when you're leading the pack, you're burning the most. This is really like a train, like a locomotive, right? A multiple engine locomotive. The guy out front doing most of the work. People further back in the pack. This is a 2-feet situation. So take a look right here. That is Ricky Stenhouse's feet. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the gas. Watch very closely right here, the top, that carbon fiber spot. That is the top of the gas pedal. Watch it. He's going to move it back. There you go. That's wide open. Now he's going to come back and forth off that just a little bit. They're not driving with a hammer. They're driving with a scalpel. I mean, this takes precision work.
Yeah, the team, the 34 team is telling him to manage your throttle to try to save fuel, and that's exactly what Stenhouse is doing. And it's one thing to save fuel, it's another thing to do it and try to gain positions, try to not lose positions. It's really turned into an art. And I'll tell you, it's interesting, like when you talk to teams about what they think is the best way to do it, you get a lot of different answers.
Right.
No one really agrees the best way to do it. And I think the situation changes all the time, depending on which lane you're in, the top, the bottom, the middle. We talked about all that. And somebody that I don't think has been saving a ton of fuel was Denny Hamlin. We saw him have that issue, kind of got hung out a little bit, worried about how he's going to get back to the front, and there he is, the fourth car in that top lane. Hit it on lap 14.
And Jeff, he is the lead Toyota. And in this style of track, this style of racing, we always talk about needing friends, needing drafting partners. Well, he is the sole Toyota. Doesn't have the nearest Toyota friend is the guy who drives for him, Tyler Reddick, and he's back several positions.
Well, the key, and Dale Earnhardt Jr. explained the race yesterday. We had a conversation about his driver going to victory lane, and he said the key I told my drivers would be patient when this couldn't happen, but when it can, you have to force the guy behind to push you. So you talk about teammates, but when it's 3 wide like this, you have the ability to force the guy behind you to follow. Now, Denny already got hung out once because they went to 4 wide, but Jimmy, does that make sense? There are times where you can force the guy behind, whether he likes you or not. You are his only option.
Yeah, there definitely is a scenario like that, and what I take away from watching Ricky's feet is I'm happy that he's dragging the brake, because I always get yelled at for doing that too. It just burns more fuel. So the idea is to be able to not touch the brake and make that car behind you push you in a way to keep you moving forward and keep that gap closed up with the car in front of you. So Ricky, thank you for dragging the brake a little bit, making me feel better about my discipline.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. I mean, just see, it looks like maybe they're just riding around, and this couldn't be further from the truth with that. And I think an advantage that they have now over years ago, we had to only know and think what we were saving. Now they can look at their dash and see exactly how much throttle they are giving, and that just helps them to modulate and save more fuel when it's needed and when the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, it's so true, and it's really changed the complexion of restrictor plate races. We now are saving fuel to get stage breaks. You want less time on pit lane. It's really, complicated things in some ways and put it more in the engineer's hands.
What was quite a rhythmic 3 wide situation has now been broken up. Zane Smith, Kyle Larson, they were at it. Tyler Reddick is in the middle of it. Ty Gibbs, I should say, is in the middle of it, right behind Larson in the 54.
Yeah, now it's put Zane Smith 4 wide. He gave a little bit of room to the 5-car Larson, and Larson took it. You know, you just cannot give anybody a look to your inside or your outside. And then when it is 4 wide, how does it merge? What's going to be the middle lane? You see they enter turn 3. They worked that out pretty well.
Briscoe got out of it. Briscoe was right in the middle of all of that, and the 14 dropped back. They had some brake issues yesterday in qualifying, and they were pretty slow. They were slower than what they expected. So let's talk more about the man who's out in front with Kim Kuhn. Kimmy?
Yeah, that's Michael McDowell. We talk about fuel saving. Here's what the team told him before this green flag run.
I probably need you to be, you know, that kind of like 70, 80 stuff we've done in the lead, managing the lanes with Brad here. We'll see what happens. If we're going to be too slow doing that where people pit, then we may have to adapt. So I just need you to save the start, and then we'll figure it out after we get some data.
So they've gotten the data. What does the data say? They're telling him he still needs to go 70%. They said we need to save 15 more laps, Dave, to go hard at the end.
Kim Lee just mentioned Chase Briscoe qualifying in the back, a full second slower than the fastest car yesterday. I asked crew chief Richard Boswell. He said the brakes were dragging, never seen it before. Should not be a problem today, and Chase's car appears to be fine.
Yeah, you can see the drivers are starting to get aggressive. The effort to get the outside lane working at 4 wide. There's a lot of shifting back mid-pack. We talked about how, if you're back there, are you going to get to the front? That's by forcing it 4 wide, trying to make something happen. When you do it, Diff, though, you got to have somebody go with you. You saw Larson put a block on Eric Jones right there. Came really close to making contact.
Look at Jones right on the wall. Comes storming down that outside. 4 wide, Reddick and Gibbs in the middle, Gregson down on the low side, Eric Jones up high in that green, white, and pink 43.
The challenge for 4 wide is not only space, but definition of lines. You see the white dotted lines. 3 wide, I think the drivers have a very clear feeling where the bottom, middle, top is. But when 3 turns to 4, now all of a sudden the white lines aren't a very good reference. Where is the 3rd lane versus the 4th lane? As we see in another aggressive move, 4 wide moving forward, Larson the pusher.
Yeah, it's game on right now. You can see the energy starting to build. 23 to go for this stage.
And if you're a Kyle Larson fan, you are loving this because he has made up 20 positions since the restart. That 5 has been flying.
Are you loving it? If your 5 is 3 high in a 4 wide battle,
he's made some decisive moves that have worked.
Now you're right, the move forward is great, but it's almost like holding your breath. Just how long can they pull this off?
Yeah, it's game on now. Everybody's pushing hard. I don't think there's anybody trying to save fuel at this moment. Whoa, really tight off of 4.
Look at Justin Haley up on that high line. Number 7, the Gainbridge Chevy. McDowell and his teammate Todd Gilliland. Austin Cindric sitting in the middle, pretty much where he's been for the majority of this race. At the front, but in the middle.
We're getting ready to see the pushes get bigger and bigger. Haley to the lead. No surprise there. Only the 2nd race with Spire Motorsports driving that 7 car. He's got it in the front.
And here comes last week's winner. Ross Chastain is starting to put himself in the conversation. Great to bring you every green flag lap live. You miss nothing, and you don't want to miss out on this. Scan that QR code you see on the right to get charged up during the NASCAR playoffs with a chance to win all-electric 2024 Ford F-150 Lightning Flash, or visit NASCAR.com/Ford Playoffs promo to enter. And good luck. Look at this. There's been some movement in the pack. Alex Bowman, his teammate Kyle Larson and Ross Chastain right across that front row with 18 to go. And now make it 4. Daniel Hemrick joins the party, and so too does Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, big push from Denny Hamlin. I mean, this is crazy. They've been for a wide lap after lap. I mean, if you're a playoff driver, you have to be terrified, right? If something happens at the front of this pack and you're in it, how in the world are you going to miss it?
This is some separation, Stevie. Some others have decided to get out of it. As they said, they're saying, I don't want any part of this.
Yeah, I'm not sure that view back there is any different. You look ahead and you say, 4 wide, 7 deep. Is this really a mess I want to get into? I mean, it looks like a formation lap. It doesn't appear that this could possibly be a group of cars going nearly 200 miles an hour.
You wonder why I used to wake up nervous here, Diff.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, this is it. I mean, if one person makes a mistake, one person just misjudges it by a foot, he's going to take a lot of people with him.
You mentioned earlier, Jeff, and every single driver talks about it. It's the energy in the pack. What does that feel like from the driver's seat?
Oh, the car's buffing around. It's moving all over the place. You're trying to figure out, is there any energy coming from behind me? What is going on in the front? Now, you're pretty much locked in. Unless somebody leaves you a hole that you can dive into, you kind of have to just try to push your lane. By the way, all this is going on at about 190 miles an hour.
What a view from Ricky Stenhouse, the Palmolive camera. They also gave us that foot cam earlier. We'd like to thank JTG and Palmolive for bringing that shot to the fans.
That's a great shot also from in that car, because it shows you what he can't see.
Yeah.
He can't see what's going on in front of him and the road that he's in.
Joey Logano feathering the throttle a little bit there, the Coke on board. Tucked in behind Todd Gilliland. There's Stenhouse. Blaney in the 12.
We're ahead.
Ross Chastain, the Kansas winner of a week ago, leads here in Talladega.
In that one camera shot, you have 10 of the 12 playoff cars, right there. Good luck picking them all out, but they're in there, trust me.
And it wasn't that way, seemingly not that long ago. Larson and Bell, and they were down in the high 20s. And now they've just slowly worked their way forward.
Well, 15 to go in the stage. Points are paid in 15 laps, so those playoff drivers know that's why you need to find your way to the front. The yellow spoilers, that's a great way to identify the cars that are in the playoffs.
We spoke about this briefly yesterday during qualifying, fellas. Almost every playoff driver somewhere in the lead up to this race used the words smart and aggressive. How's that working at the moment?
Well, they haven't wrecked yet, so I'd say it's working out pretty well. But yeah, I mean, Michael Jordan, it's great to have him at the racetrack. Big supporter and loves his race team. And imagine what that guy, the competitor that he is sitting there thinking.
Right now, I think he's thinking he doesn't want to be riding right here in the passenger seat with Tyler Reddick.
That's for sure.
And Michael has been in the headlines this week for both himself and co-owner Denny Hamlin of 2311 and Front Row Motorsports filing that antitrust lawsuit against NASCAR and Jim France. And that will be an ongoing story. For how long, we don't know. But NASCAR has a 60-day buffer to respond to that, and we'll be following that keenly. But that's a side story. This is the story. What's happening on track is simply incredible.
It's interesting to me that outside lane can't quite get the energy to get up to the front row. See Denny Hamlin, that 11 car, I think he's not really wanting to be exceptionally aggressive and give those big pushes needed. There it goes. That's what's going to be required. And I think Denny, now with 13 to go, Steve, is starting to say, all right, what am I going to have to do? How am I going to get stage points? And That's how you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to be willing to put that front bumper to the rear bumper of the car in front of you and just push. Shove them all the way down the straightaway. You try not to do it in the corner or even through this trial. Because if you do and you do it wrong, you can spin that guy out and cause a wreck.
Somebody get a heart rate monitor on Jimmy Johnson, part of the ownership group of the Legacy Motor Club. His driver, Eric Jones, is up there in the mix.
Welcome back to Talladega, and Jimmy Johnson, we are seeing something I don't know that I've ever seen with the four-wide racing. And one of your drivers was the first one up there, Eric Jones, in that 43 car. What's that like as an owner sitting watching this take place?
Better he than me. I'd rather sit here on the pit box with you and enjoy this. What a show those guys put on. Eric's
So what was that stable four wide across the front? There was a little breakaway with Ty Gibbs and Kyle Larson, and Ross Chastain is now at the front again.
Whatever planning, whatever strategy, whatever got you to this point, it's over.
It's
now.
gone.
8 to go in the stage. Find your friends, find your enemies, find anybody that will push as Cindric gets the 5 car sideways.
Yeah, that's where the wrecks always happen, is when a guy starts to push it, doesn't do it exactly right, doesn't line it up right, spins the guy in front of the pack.
What an awesome race Justin Haley's having. Watch that Spire Motorsports Gainbridge Chevrolet at the front. He's up there, second back on the low line behind Alex Bowman, pushing the Ally Chevy. Great opening stage for Austin Cindric as well, the two. Ford Mustang, the discount tire machine for Team Penske, started on the front row. Here goes Gibbs. Gibbs gets out of line, the monster machine to the front.
The one car of Chastain, a big side draft, trying to slow him down. Now here comes the help to Chastain.
That's going to be the same move for Denny Hamlin right here. Push the one car out until you're clear. See if you can switch lanes. He's looking for the 5, does it? He switches lanes.
Oh, Larson trying to get in front of Bowman.
Oh, the teammates, it got close. It got really close. Who's going to get in behind Larson? Gibbs may be hung out here.
Oh, I think it's Hamlin. I think Hamlin is going to be the one with no help.
Yeah, teammate, the 20 car to the 54.
No help.
Here comes Larson.
No help.
On Chastain, and Bowman on that inside line.
Hamlin gets back in line.
The top 10 receive points at the end of the stage. 10 to win it, 1 for 10th. That's why the aggression is so high.
6 to go in the first stage. 1 caution caused by a spin out by Daniel Suarez, one of the 12 playoff drivers who unfortunately is 2 laps down. Chastain goes to the low line. Playoff drivers, 2nd, 3rd, 6th, 8th. Enough of them there to grab some really valuable points. The Coke on board with Joey Logano, sitting 12th. Oh, Larson.
The pace is picked up 1 second faster than about 5 laps ago. And you can see it in the cars, Jeff. They're just not quite as stable. They're kind of dancing around a little bit.
Oh, that's tight.
The conduct and the cooperation so far has been unreal. Will it stay like this until the end of the stage?
No, there's just no way. You're going to have to start to wind the laps down. Drivers are going to get more and more aggressive.
Towards the last one up top. Still got the 45 with you.
Aggressive lane change. William Byron.
Yeah, that's what you got to watch back in the field as drivers try to make moves, get themselves lined up. Larson to the outside of Chastain. Cindric with a push to Chastain.
Cindric doesn't push the playoff car. He goes with the non-playoff car. He doesn't push the 5 out there. Let's get rid of him. I got to gain points on the 5.
Remember, he started this race in 12th place in the playoff point standings. Austin Cindric driving as hard as he can in this opening stage to maximize that points gathering. He'd be above the cut line as they race at the moment. His teammate Ryan Blaney, the reigning series champ, behind him. Ricky Stenhouse in the mix in the green and white Kroger Palmolive machine.
We can't say enough about the driver of the 48, that Ally car on the left side of the screen. 8 stages in the playoffs. He scored points in all 8 stages, having an unbelievable playoff run.
Stenhouse with a big move to be the leader of the outside line, being pushed by Larson.
Pace continues to pick up another half a second faster.
Watch this push right here. Watch the 5 car on the outside. They're going to come off turn 2 with a lot of momentum. There it is. Little shot to the back, shoves him out front. But a shot from the 2 keeps Chastain in it.
2.5 laps to go in the opening stage. Nobody has scored more points during the playoffs than the 48, the Ally Chevy of Alex Bowman. He answered the call leading into the playoffs and has been one of the best so far. Look at Chastain. Where do I go? Do I stay high? Do I go to the middle? And Larson continues to push Stenhouse on that high line.
That outside, that bottom lane lost a little bit of speed right there. Bowman falling back. Others are going to try to go to the bottom to advance their position.
47 in the 1. Stenhouse and Chastain, the 2 cars at the front. 2 of the most aggressive drivers on the speedways.
Look at this movement. Look at this lane changing. They know what's on the line this time. 1 to go as they come through the tri-oval. 4 wide has become 2. And Ricky Stenhouse Jr. leads Kyle Larson. There are enough disruptors at the front of this pack, non-playoff drivers, I mean, in important positions to frustrate the playoff drivers. Watch that outside line. Chris Buescher getting the push from Tyler Reddick, who won here in the spring.
Remember where that start finish is, way past the tri-oval.
Here they come. Final lap, stage 1. Chris Buescher gets a little breakaway from the pack, gets ahead of Ricky Stenhouse, and Chris Buescher will win stage 1 here at Talladega.
That's some crazy racing. Denny Hamlin ended up not getting stage points. Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, Alex Bowman.
Can we all breathe a sigh of relief now? Can we exhale, Jeff?
It's so intense.
Racing at Talladega Super Speedway, there's nothing like it. Just one caution in the opening stage and some breathtaking racing. 4 wide. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR is brought to you by McDonald's. Progressive. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. National Debt Relief, helping you become debt-free. And by Yellawood brand pressure-treated pine. If it doesn't have that yellow tag, you don't want it.
We saw how incredible the racing was and how intense the playoffs make it. Here's what Larson told his team.
That was way more intense than stage 1 should be. Holy smokes.
Yeah, we were all on pins and needles there with you. Good job.
Yeah, so a great job by Kyle Larson scoring stage points, but a little bit more intense than they wanted to see in that first stage.
Gladiator, do you have a name?
My name is Lucius Ferrus Aurelius, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
Well, some incredible racing, and what happens when everybody's pushing, trying to get position. We talked about it. Cindric with a big push to Larson. You know, that save is so big, not just for Larson, but the entire field, right? What if one of these guys in this front row wrecks? They're going to take everybody with them, and it's just so intense to be behind the wheel in the middle of that, trying to get stage points. We talked about the drivers that didn't. Again, Alex Bowman, who ran in the front that whole time. It just didn't work out at the end. He didn't get any. Logano, Chase Elliott, Hamlin.
Tell you what, it was pretty big for Chase Briscoe, who qualified poorly, as Dave mentioned earlier, and at the end of stage 1, comes in 8th. Valuable points.
Valuable points for Briscoe. A valuable caution for the 99 of Suarez. We documented that he was in an accident early. Well, he was able to get his car repaired. He's 2 laps down, but he's going to award the free pass, so he'll be back to 1 lap down for this next stage. Still basically the last car in the field, but still running is the goal. And after what I just saw in stage 1, still running is going to be an important thing at the end of this day.
And with this many cars on pit road, it's very easy to have contact and have damage, Marty.
What an aggressive drive for William Byron from 32nd in the middle of stage 1 up to 3rd at very end. So the car buffets around a little bit more than he would like. At the end of the run, they're going to wait on fuel, Parker.
Similar story for Chris Bell. Restarted outside the top 35 there, but was able to get 5th at the end of the stage. They will do 4 tires and wait on fuel as well, Dave.
Tyler Reddick, 5 stage points, 4 tires from Goodyear, wait on fuel like everyone. The car drives well, according to the driver, Kim.
Kyle Larson, bottom right, 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel. He was waiting on Cliff's call to leave the box. You saw that kind of stutter there. Kyle Larson didn't ask for anything. He just wanted to know which drivers in the playoffs scored points and which didn't, as he had to back up out to get out of his box.
Thanks, Kim. Who's in the green? Who's in the red? As they come off pit road. Check this out. Todd Gilliland.
Oh, contact. Whoa. Bubba Wallace, big slide for the 38.
Wow. That was a close call on many fronts. And then a hiccup for Larson. In a stage break in the Yellawood 500 here at Talladega Super Speedway, end of stage 1, getting closer and closer to refiring for the second stage. Yellawood brand pressure treated pine introduces their 5-star hero contest winner, Marshall Plants. After a fiery car accident in 1968, Marshall risked his life to save his 11-year-old sister. In honour of his heroic actions, Marshall served as today's honorary starter and will have a donation made in his honour to Samaritan's Purse. You can see the full story at yellawoodhero.com. Thank you, Marshall. Well done. And adding to the stories of the day as we head to the Peacock pit box. DJ, Jimmy, we were talking a lot about it, you heard the words of Kyle Larson, just how stressful and intense that first stage was.
Yeah, we appreciate you just giving us a little bit of break to catch our breath just watching this. Jimmy, I know you've driven this next-gen car at Daytona back in the 500 earlier this year. Being in situations like that, how does this car react and handle if you happen to be in the middle of that 3 and 4 wide?
It's a good driving car. I mean, it really does drive well, but it's still 4 wide at 200 miles an hour. And as you know, there's so much air being pushed off these cars and the buffeting that takes place from side to side. I don't know how these guys stayed in line. The merging that took place, we didn't have an incident. That was really impressive driving by everybody out there.
Yeah, it was fun to watch, and we saw William Byron through the tri-oval make an aggressive move to get up to third there, get a lot of stage points, plus maybe learning something for later in the race. Kim.
And Kyle Larson came down to top off after losing so many spots on pit road. They also fixed the hood flap springs after that stop. Larson asked, can you guys look at the video and tell me what I can do better getting into my box, because that matters so much here on a busy pit road. He asked if I come in at a less of an angle but can be further out from the pit wall. He thinks that still gives the 17 of Chris Buescher enough room behind him, and then the ability to get out of the box behind Noah Gragson. Marty.
Kim, in fact, all the Hendrick Motorsports cars came down pit road for a little extra fuel. Steve, tires are never normally an issue at Talladega, but I want to show you the of Todd Gillen. This right front came off his car, and look at that, Steve. I mean, you don't normally see this at Talladega. How concerning would that be? There are a number of teams that have this same issue.
So I'm not super concerned. We just saw 60 laps on this set of tires. The only, I guess, little bit of a concern diff is 68 laps in that final stage. If you get behind and you have to get a creative strategy. But then again, I'm not riding in the car, right? As a crew chief, I'm kind of used to seeing a little bit of fabric. That's just what's underneath the rubber on the tire. I actually think even at a track this big, rubber will get put down, ground into those grooves, so it should improve as the race goes. But something to keep an eye on if we do see tire issues late.
I want to say thanks again to Traveller Whiskey for providing today's aerial coverage high above Talladega Superspeedway on an 84-degree day here in Alabama. We're gearing up to restart. Let's begin stage 2, and we're going to check in and listen to Trey Poole, the spotter for the 9 of Chase Elliott. Here we go.
You're good. Good to roll. Stay in line here. Stay in line. Stay in line. All right, you're clear to move. There's only about 10 in line on the top. Already a third line forming. Gonna get tight here. Tight, 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 tight. One just shut us off here. You got one inside the 23. You're clear down after him. Fifth car in line top. Still 3 stops. Still 3 top. That's a 5 on your door. In the mid, 2 wide, 5 inside, now back 3. Tight ahead here. Tight ahead, top pushing pretty hard. 2 wide, just a 43. Now back, staggered 3. Now 7th in line up top, 8th now. right ahead. 2 wide, 6 inside. He's staying in the mid here. Staying in the mid here, 1 inside. Still 1 inside, now back 3 wide. Mid's coming back slow here. Top surging. 2 wide with the 5 in the mid.
The frequency of communication differs from spotter to spotter. Jeff, when you were behind the wheel, what did you want from your spotter, more or less?
I wanted probably a little bit less than others, but, you know, spotters do more today than they did, 10 years ago. That has evolved. This job has become more difficult. They're asking more of the spotters today than they did in the past, Steve. And, every driver and every team likes something different. This just isn't here. It's a lot about the driver. But the spotter also communicates to the team, so the crew chief and the driver need to be aligned in what kind of spotter they want.
Yeah, stark contrast from what we heard from the 2 car earlier from Chase Elliott and the 9 car now. Now we see pretty, I hate to say 3 wide calm, but the top kind of, a little moment. That says a lot about stage 1. Well, they're only 3 wide, only 3 wide. What a
funny, I was thinking the same thing. This is kind of calm, and I'm like, wait a minute, it's not. They're going 190.
Here's the WeatherTech onboard, riding with SVG, Shane Van Gisbergen of New Zealand. I spoke to Shane this morning. He had a big crash yesterday in the Xfinity Series race, and I said, now you've had several races on the Talladega Superspeedway. How do you like it? He said, I like it until it goes wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, welcome to the club. That's how it is.
Some good representation, Marty, in that first stage by the Hendrick Motorsports Chevys. What you got?
Yeah, terrific end of the stage for Hendrick Motorsports. But interestingly, Steve, we saw all the Hendrick Motorsports and a lot of Chevrolets, in fact, come down pit road, top off with fuel, going 1 extra lap, just a little bit more fuel in the cars. And then you saw Alex Bowman, who was near the top 10 at the end of stage 1, fall immediately all the way to the back on the top line. And he was told max save from this point. So what's the strategy here for the Hendrick cars in the max save mode here in stage 2?
Well, once again, you know everyone needs a pit stop, so if you save more gas, you just spend less time sitting in your pit box. This is no different than a road trip down the highway. Jeff and I stop at the local gas station together, and he needs 8 gallons and I need 4, and we're both in a hurry. I'm going to pull away from the pump quicker because I only need 4 gallons. Same thing here. While the pit stops are going to look the same, tenths of a second at 200 miles an hour can cycle you from 30th to 5th or from 5th to 30th. The trick is, and everyone has a different strategy, where do you want to be? 5th saving gas, 20th saving gas, 15th? I will tell you, I just want to be where they don't wreck. So, Diff, if you can tell me where that's going to be, that's where I'd like to ride out and hang out.
Well, I tell you who we might look to as far as navigating his way around this track successfully today is the car in second. The yellow number 20 of Christopher Bell, the DeWalt Toyota for Joe Gibbs Racing. Bell got a penalty and was put to the back of the field, and throughout that stage 1 worked his way into 5th. Unbelievable result. And here he is as we get the next to lull on board of Chris Buescher, looking back at Bell, who says, I'm getting better at racing super speedways, Jeff. I'm not one of the best, but I know I'm getting better.
Yeah, he's getting better because he's working at it. He knows that you can get in a wreck, and there's nothing you can do about that unless you cause it. But you can't look at it and say, well, this is just up to chance, right? You've got to do your part as a driver, and he has been studying a lot, been working a lot to be better at this skill set.
We're talking about Christopher Bell and his Toyota. Let's give you the Toyota driver update. Obviously, Christopher leads that group. And the playoff drivers highlighted in yellow. Ty Gibbs, the next best. He's right on his inside there. Michael McDowell in the Loves Ford for Front Row Motorsports, the pole setter today. Flanked by Chris Buescher on his outside. Goes back to the front. It's one of the questions we were talking about before the green flag dropped. Are we going to get a playoff driver win today, or will it be another spoiler? We've witnessed some pretty good teamwork today in the Yellawood 500, whether that be Front Row Motorsports or Team Penske or Hendrick Motorsports, Joe Gibbs. How about Rick Ware Racing at the front with Corey LaJoie ahead of Cody Ware. The 51 and the 15. And remember, this is just the second race for Corey with Rick Ware Racing. And he came out of the box strong last weekend with a top 15 result, Steve.
Did a really nice job in his first race behind the wheel of the 51. Remember, a driver swap between Spire and Rick Ware Racing. That 15, Arby's car behind the 51, that's Cody Ware, son of owner, same as Rick Ware, so it's Rick Ware's son, Cody, who had a 4th place finish at Daytona in August. So, you know, this organization has found a way to circle these super speedways and make the most of them. Bravo to the 51 and the 15 as they run up here near the front.
Not unusual at all to see Corey LaJoie in front of these type racetracks. He's had multiple opportunities to win races on them. Hadn't quite found a way to pull it off, but you put yourself in that position, it can happen. You saw how aggressive he got on the block. McDowell had a big run on the outside the last lap. Corey LaJoie pulled right up in front of him, took that energy away. Here comes McDowell. All by himself. Another Ford comes with him.
Chris Buescher with a really decisive move to move in front of Cody Ware. Now let's see if the teammates tuck in. Yeah, they do. They work together.
And that shook the field up behind it. I mean, it's crazy how one move can change the lanes. Who's leading what lane? That completely changed it. Now Bell's leading the line. Harrison Burton's leading the line.
Let's go for a ride with Van Gisbergen. Have a listen. Harrison Burton right on the 17 of Chris Buescher. Here comes McDowell. Third lane. Cody Ware leads that. Joey Logano says, I've had enough. I'm going to tuck out of here. Here I come.
Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney, pardon me.
Car. Well, I mean, it's a Pennzoil car, 2 back for Joey Logano to make you feel any better. Can you imagine trying to be a spotter? We heard their jobs. I mean, it's that easy. They're so like painted. The sponsors are so similar. You see the 12 and the 22, a little bit of white on Ryan Blaney. It looks great on our camera, but from a mile away down in turn 3, that's going to be a tough job.
And that's a disadvantage if you're Cody Ware. You don't run in this series every week, every single race, so they don't trust you quite as much. Not that Cody's not a good race car driver, but they're not going to cut you any slack. Big push from the 2 into the 12.
Let's talk more about the man who was looking rearward there just to get a feel of who was coming from behind Kim, Michael McDowell.
Yeah, Michael McDowell jockeying for position as he moves in front of Chris Buescher, but the outside line pushing strong with Ryan Blaney. Michael McDowell comes into this race wanting redemption. Earlier this year at Dega, he was mere seconds from winning, but an aggressive block ended with him spinning on the outside wall. He admitted to me that he studied that spring race a lot. He said, what are you trying to learn? What are you trying to figure out? What went right, what went wrong? And he told me he would not change his approach, Dave, in the final lap. He would just execute it better, Marty.
Kim in the middle of stage 2 here, 22 laps in, working lap 22, I should say. And the Fords are starting to talk, Steve, that they may come early. Now, normally the Fords are the ones who go later into a stage for that stop right that they need. Going to be fuel only when they do pit, but now they're talking about maybe doing something a little bit different. You might see some Fords on the early side of this.
Well, the pace is picking up. Something definitely feels different. They were running 51.50s, now 50-second flat. 1.5 seconds is multiple, nearly 10 miles an hour for these guys. They've picked up the pace.
I'm going to tell you something, folks, that Ryan Blaney said yesterday in the media center. He said, as a team, the 3 of us at Team Penske and the technical alliance with Wood Brothers, Harrison Burton, he said, we work together, I feel, better than anybody else. We look for each other, we find each other. And have a look at that. You've got Team Penske, 1, 2, 3, the 12, the 2, the 22, and Harrison Burton not too far away either.
This is a great comparison of Michael McDowell and Tyler Reddick, 2 different driving styles. You see the throttle usage top and bottom, and here they come. Marty talked about it, a wave to pit road, a little broken up. Not everybody got here. A couple of guys made a mistake.
All the Stuart Haas Fords are coming in. One of the Rick Ware Fords. McDowell is there. And Kim standing by for Michael McDowell.
McDowell just given the command by his crew chief, Travis Peterson. It's going to be about 4 seconds of fuel. So you see the fuel engaging right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, and go, they're telling him.
Well, as you see the group leaders on the top, a few guys at the back of the pack had issues on pit road. 38 of Gilliland missed it. 6 of Brad Keselowski missed it. That's a major mistake. They're now kind of off here by themselves. Will anybody counter this time by? No. Clean pack. Just behind this pack, though, look at the 3 cars trailing yet to pit road. 3 guys. This just kills you, Jeff. If you have a plan, you have to find a way to come with it. This is how far back these 3 cars are, as now we see the next 2 pit that missed it last time.
Yeah, that is, now you've had a slow lap, missed it, and now you have to pit. So you're going to have a caution. You can see them just carrying a lot of speed. And
here's the view of Brad Keselowski.
There you go. Just trying to carry too much speed.
Keep coming.
Just simply trying to carry too much speed and missed it.
So now we have a group who has already pitted. They're going to go out single file, try to be very organized. This is the lead pack right here. I'm wondering how long the lead pack is going to wait. I think they're very comfortable at this point. Until those Fords can prove that they can outrun this pack, that is not advantage. And they're not going to outrun it looking like that. 4 together, then a gap to 2 more cars. Those cars missing, Jeff, really has disrupted this entire strategy. It's easy on paper to figure out this is when we should pit, but the execution is sometimes what gets overlooked.
And the reason why it's disrupted is because more cars running together can go faster. So that group back there, they're trying to get single file, but it's not as many cars in that pack. So this group will be running faster, even though they're 2 and 3 wide.
Blaney leads the way, and he's on that low line. Heading the second lane is the WeatherTech Chevy for Corlig Racing, Shane Van Gisbergen, as the Kansas winner Ross Chastain pushing him. And here comes SVG. A quick reminder that you can join NASCAR's free rewards program and start earning points that turn into member-only rewards. You can earn every time you check in for a race, trade points in for free tickets, exclusive gear, autographed merchandise, and one-of-a-kind race day experiences by visiting NASCAR.com/fan rewards. Welcome back to Talladega. Lee Diffie, Jeff Burton, Steve Letarte with you, and it's Shane Van Gisbergen. The 35-year-old New Zealander leads the way in just his fourth race on this track. He's done 2 Xfinity races. He did the Cup race in the spring, and now he leads. I spoke to him this morning, and he said, I'm not in the playoffs. I'm not going to play this fuel-saving game. I'm going to go for it if I have a chance to go to the front.
Well, that's what he told you. Well, let's take a look at our progressive telemetry and see if SVG is doing what he told. I bet you're going to see a lot of green, and there it is. Bright green, wide open throttle. He's leading the pack. The Ford's pitted. They're running about 52 1s and 2s, 49 6s, over a half a second faster every lap, and that's because SVG is doing just what he told you, Diff. He is wide open. All the sails in the wind. They're trying to make as much time as possible. Look at this top speed, 193 miles an hour.
Yeah, wait till you see it down the back straightaway. They're side by side right now. Watch Blaney in that 12 car down the back. Takes a lot of trust. They haven't raced with SVG that much, right? They know what kind of racer he is because they show what he can do. He shows what he can do on road courses, but how much faith do you have that you can give him the kind of pushes that you need to make the pace? I think they trust him. I think they'll treat him just like any other driver.
This is such an interesting strategy game because pace of the pack has really picked up as a counter move, and now they're drafting up on the 3 cars that missed that pit road, Jeff, right? Brad Keselowski, Cody Ware, and Todd Gilliland, and they have no defense. This pack should go right by him.
Well, you would think they'd go right by him. Remember when they caught Suarez early in the race? Suarez didn't want him to go right by him, so let's see what they do.
They are in 34th, 5th, 6th, 7th position.
The good thing is this is 2 wide mostly right now. When we saw that incident earlier, they were 3 wide when they caught Suarez, and that problem happened.
Well, and these cars being lapped is going to make Suarez's life tougher. Remember, he's racing Alfredo and J.J. Yeley 1 lap down. As cars, get lapped, that makes it a tougher task for Suarez to get back on the lead lap.
Van Gisbergen heads the pack. How's this going to play out? Where's he going to go? Who's he going to go with him? What are the 3 at the front going to do?
I think the big thing with Van Gisbergen is how does he do coming on pit road?
Oh, there's Blaney on the inside. Oh, look at that. Look at this.
Oh, Todd tried to stop him. He's being aggressive like Suarez. Will this work out better?
He's stuck in the middle. Van Gisbergen's gone the high line. Blaney went aggressively to the low line.
I have a destiny.
Power.
I have will, control, and empower.
Van Gisbergen is clear of them. Blaney is stuck behind Keselowski.
And they're still trying to sort it out. And what this is going to do is going to make this pack is now going to get slower. 3 wide does not have the energy. Some are pitting. That's going to get it back to 2 wide.
So now is oh no! Martin Truex Jr. spun around on pit entry. He's got to back up. No damage. But now they're going to have to change tires on the 19, I would imagine, after that long slide. So everyone else is going to assume take fuel only, Parker.
Right, Christopher Bell led the Toyotas down here. He will do fuel only. As you saw the 19 spinning, they'll break up their cars. Dave.
Denny Hamlin, fuel only. He is gone.
You see how difficult it is to get to pit road. If we see this over and over, Steve, trying to get to pit road on these big racetracks, incidents happen.
So now let's see how this works out. Remember, we have a group of Fords single file in front of the lead. They can make it to the end of the stage. Now we have this group of Toyotas, mostly Toyotas. They're going to leave right now. They're exiting turn 2 on the apron. Still no Fords in sight. So as we shoot down the backstretch, there are the Toyotas. And way up in the distance, you're going to see the Fords. So these Toyotas, there you go. That's the gap. Now the advantage is if these guys get together, they have more cars, they're going to find more pace. I would imagine we're going to see this lead pack continue to see pit cycles.
How fast can these 6 cars catch that group? There they go by Truex.
Yeah, that spin's going to be costly. Next wave of cars, I expect we're going to see some pitters. Let's see.
And again, we talked about it. SVG is a great road racer. Braking is such an art in road racing, but this racetrack, you don't have the braking force like you do at other racetracks. The tires do not stop as well. You do not have as good of brakes. How does he handle this situation on these green flag stops?
Brad Keselowski put up a resilient fight to try and stop them from going by. Let's have another look. Look to the right-hand side of your screen, the bright orange and black machine of Martin Truex Jr. spinning on entry.
That's what I'm talking about. That's one of the most experienced race car drivers we have in the field. And you can see it just locks the rear brakes up. And now around it goes.
No practice this weekend. Just 1 lap of qualifying, so you don't really get the practice you would have years past of coming on pit road.
Van Gisbergen continues to lead.
back at Talladega as this green flag cycle continues. Here's the rest of the Fords coming down pit road, including all of Team Penske, Parker.
Right, and also Joey Logano in the 22 with air fuel only as he joined this pack as they pitted.
Oh, Austin Dillon had trouble getting into his box. During the break, the Hendrick cars of William Byron and Kyle Larson, Alex Bowman pitted.
Well, now the results, all the talk, all the strategy, all the planning, cars kind of coming off pit road in a group, but a spread out group. Cars on the bottom screen are continuing on the racetrack. We're going to see who gets control of this race as this comes around. On the top of the pylon, it says Haley. The 7 of Justin Haley has a mechanical issue that sounds like he's having a hard time getting to the brake pedal, something to do with the leg brace. So just ignore him for a minute. Cindric is really the leader of the race of cars that can make it to the finish. So Cindric, Elliott, SVG, and Blaney, there they are. But the game of leapfrog is going to happen here, Jeff, as the pack kind of forms back up.
Yeah, that's right. You're going to try to get single file. Everybody's trying to dice right now, get themselves in the right position.
Got a group here of just 1 lap of separation of when they pitted. So Cindric on lap 100. Chastain lap 99. There's a good mix in this group here that you see on your screen.
And I think the 1 of Chastain right here being pushed by the 48 and the 5 and the 24, I think this is the group that has the most forward momentum. Will they be able to get to the right rear of Blaney and keep pulling them back, or will they have to fall in line? Look how messy it is down the backstretch. I mean, it's just nothing like what you would normally see a pack here at Talladega.
From the very uniform opening stage, this is considerably more mixed up, and there's only 19 laps to go in stage 2.
So if you're in Cindric, Elliott, SVG, Blaney, Chastain, your team should be telling you to stay in line. I know you want to try to leapfrog, but if we stay single file, we can just kind of efficiently pull away, maybe settle this stage amongst ourselves.
Tyler Reddick and the Toyota on board. Reddick's in 23rd.
By 1 to the 11, you're going to fuel if it does matter. I don't know if you were thinking at 18 to go stage.
There you go, good on fuel. So now we know we're talking wide open throttle. We're not worried about saving gas or any of that. Once again, Haley, bottom of your screen, just went out of screen. He's leader of the race, last on the pit road at lap 65. So have to make a pit stop. They're hoping for a yellow so they can work on this car and try to fix what the mechanical issue is.
Now these guys, they're going to stay single file as long as they can. They know if they can stay single file, it'll get them away further. It'll keep them safe from getting in wrecks. They're going to make the run come from behind. Now, who is going to start at double file? Because when this second group catches Kyle Busch, what is William Byron going to do? I don't think William Byron's going to just stay in line. I think he's going to try to force the issue to get double file going.
We saw the 19 spin out coming to pit road, but it was adventurous for other drivers as well. The 31 of Daniel Hemrick, here he is kind of in the middle of the mess. And he's just, oh man. He's fortunate, and Kyle Busch is thankful that the 31 somehow figured it out, and then Cindric and Austin Dillon almost contact.
That's the man who leads the race in that discount tire Ford, Austin Cindric.
So here you go. Here's the start of double file. You at the back of this, at the back of the pack is where it starts.
Logano's been left alone in the middle. Someone may help. And they quickly fill that in. Guys, third car in line is the 16 Pauling Racing Shane Van Gisbergen. We can all not be surprised when we see him win or run at the front on a road course. But for a NASCAR newbie, this is a mightily impressive run at NASCAR's most daunting track.
Well, this is the kind of racetrack that you would expect that he could have success, right? It's a racetrack where you can get in the pack, you can be aggressive and filling holes and blocking, and you can get up there and run with these guys, and you can build some trust with them in doing it.
For this extended aerial coverage of the Yellawood 500, I want to say thanks to Traveller Whiskey. Look at these images and look at Ryan Blaney go. His teammate Austin Cindric pulls up in front of him.
A lot of trust right there.
And still backs up.
Yeah, but what happened behind it, Steve, was impressive that they all worked that out.
I didn't mean to step on you, but I was waiting for the wreck because the 1 hit the 48, the 5, the 22. I thought we were getting ready to have that big wreck.
Come on, Stevie, optimism. Optimism.
You come here enough, you don't come with optimism. I can assure you.
He's a realist.
Look at the 8 of Kyle Busch. What a good run it has been that has started right from qualifying yesterday. That Lucas Chevy for Richard Childress Racing.
We talk a lot about strategy, racing, the danger. I think the drivers need to be applauded because they come down here year in and year out regardless of the rules, and this is what we see. They don't like it at times. They get frustrated at times. They don't love that it's out of their control by themselves, and yet you would not know it by what they do on the racetrack. They say all those things because they're honest, but when they put that helmet on, it's go time, and they put such a great show on, and that's why this place is packed every year.
And here you go. The pushing is starting to get more and more aggressive. They're running mid-49 second laps, so the pace is picked way up right here.
Who's that up the top there? Is that JJ Yaley in the 44? I think as they sweep by, JJ stays high and lets the pack by.
Nice job by the 44. We've seen issues with this. JJ doing a great job.
Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Shane Van Gisbergen. That's the top 4 here at Talladega. A quick reminder to download the official app of NASCAR and follow the action with free live scoring, in-car camera and radio broadcast, and you can upgrade to premium for full access to driver audio channels and completely ad-free experience. Search NASCAR in your app store and download to start a free trial. Welcome back to life at just under 200 miles an hour in the pack. Aboard The WeatherTech Chevy for Shane Van Gisbergen, tucked in behind Chase Elliott.
It is an art choosing gladiators. They usually...
And a little further back, that 14 car, Chase Briscoe's trying to get a third line going.
He's working hard at it. He's got a little bit of help behind.
He did this in the first stage. He ended up finishing 8th in the first stage. We didn't see much of him. But toward the end, he did exactly this. Got on the outside. Look who's behind him. You said it. Look at all the SHR Fords.
And those guards in the middle lane, they're going to start hearing about 3 wide, certain number of rows back. I believe other cars are going to jump out in front of them.
Dave, big disparity in terms of when the likes of the Stewart-Haas Ford stopped in comparison to the race leaders, but tell us more about Chase Briscoe.
Yet here they all are, huh, Diff? So Briscoe was just told, we need stage points, so get some if you can. Time to go. He said, I'm going to build a run right here. And you can see behind him the 10 car of Noah Gragson trying to help that team, putting all their efforts anytime they can toward the 14 car in the playoffs, Parker.
And Dave, this could be a big moment for Daniel Suarez and that 99 car. He's lost the grasp of his lead back, but he's currently in the free pass position. When we get to the end of stage 2, he remember had that incident in lap 11, went 2 laps down, got one of those laps back at the end of stage 1. They were able to fix the toe of that race car about halfway. It's still damaged. They're going to work on it more under the stage, but if he stays that first car 1 lap down, he will get that free pass to be back on the lead lap. I know the field is catching AJ Allmendinger, who's about, I think, 10 seconds ahead of this pack, so tight moments here for the 99 team if they can get this free pass.
Yeah, he's going to have to go because look behind him. Right there, that pack of 4. In that pack is Anthony Alfredo, and that is who he's racing in that 62 car to try to stay the first car 1 lap down. And those 4 cars together, Steve, should be making a lot more pace than he is by himself.
If not, the leaders on the top of the screen, as Parker mentioned, might get to the 13 of AJ Allmendinger, but with 7 to go, Cindric, Blaney, Elliott, playoff cars at the front.
Inside the final 6 laps of stage 2. Let's have a listen to the 9 of Chase Elliott. What's happening on the radio?
Anything that you could do different? No, keep doing what he's doing. Just don't get on my right side. Right side of the bumper's bad. But just tell him to keep doing what he's doing. I'm working it.
You mentioned the learning curve for SVG. Well, there you go. He's asking, what do you want me to do? Live time. Chase Elliott saying, pushing good, right rear bumper bad. If you're going to hit me, try to hit me square. We have seen the accidents, Jeff. If you get offset to the right, you almost turn the car in front of you.
Yeah, and the problem is the car in front of you is moving, right? It's not exactly just running a straight line. So you can start a push out well and that car move a little bit. Next thing you know, you're misaligned.
2 Chevys on that low line, 2 Fords on the high line.
Big push right here by SVG, and that 16 car to Chase Elliott.
That question mark about AJ Allmendinger will be answered probably on this straightaway. That solo car, now where will he go? Not only a lap down, Jeff, but what used to be easy here at the Speedways has been a challenge today, lapping these single cars.
What's AJ going to do in that Strive Chevrolet? What a daunting sight this is. But the veteran knows how to handle it, and the pain will be over shortly. The pack should be clear shortly. These 2 at the front, the 2 and the 12, Austin Cindric, Ryan Blaney, the reigning Cup Series champion, have spent more time together in a drafting situation like this than anybody else in this 2024 season on drafting tracks. They've got their mojo down.
34 of Mike McDowell coming to pit road. His goal right here, come before pit road closes. Probably take some fuel. You won't lose the lap in the next 3. That'll give him some track position for the final stage, but a lot of racing left to go. That's what you could do when you're not a playoff car. You can be aggressive.
Think about that storyline that we told you right at the drop of the green flag. What happened yesterday in the Xfinity Series race. Sammy Smith went from 12th and last to victory lane to go from 12th and last in points, I should say, to win and guarantee himself a spot in the next round. That could happen for Austin Cindric in this discount tire Ford if he keeps going the way he's going today. Yes, this is only stage 2, but for the driver from Team Penske who started on the front row, he's been super consistent today, Jeff.
Yeah, consistent today and every day on this type of racetrack.
And with 2 to go, I think 2 wide, this is more standard style speedway racing right here. So now the question is, how can you win? You see Suarez at the bottom, he's been caught. But with the 13 of Allmendinger going down a lap, Suarez is already in trouble because the 13 is going to receive the free pass unless that group can catch him.
Yeah, look at the points. Look how close it is. Denny Hamlin in 18th place. Got no stage points in the first stage.
It's just biding the time or maybe no options. Can someone mount a charge in this final lap of the second stage?
At the moment, there's only 4 playoff drivers in the top 10. Make that 5 now with Bowman. So valuable points on offer as we go into the final 2.66 miles.
You got with that 9, but be easy in the corner.
Maybe a reminder there for Shane Van Gisbergen, go easy on the 9 in the corners. Be careful, you don't want to affect a fellow Chevrolet driver who is a playoff driver. And look at that Lucas Chevy for RCR and Kyle Busch. It's been strong again, which has been the storyline post the Olympic break. Here comes the pack into the tri-oval. Who's going to grab the points? Logano pulls out of the line. He's going for it. So too is Larson. Here comes Joey Logano with a big stomp. Boom! Ryan Blaney at the end of stage 2. Ross Chastain as well. The reigning Cup Series champ has a big one right on the line at the end of the second stage.
That is huge right there. That has major consequences to the playoffs.
Blaney said, look at what we did last weekend in Kansas to show you what we're capable of. Think about how many times we've been taken out. Daytona, Watkins Glen, Darlington. The AMR safety team are right there to assist Ross Chastain. Unfortunately for Ryan Blaney, the champ, it's happened again. And as always, we thank the AMR safety team for their swift, speedy response and the care of the drivers. And Ross Chastain out of his car. Here is the wounded Team Penske, Menards Pennzoil Ford of Ryan Blaney. Watch the 12 in the middle. What happens? Did he get pushed by Bowman? Right at the end of stage 2. You're watching the Yellawood 500 here at Talladega. We're in the stage break after the first 2 stages, and here is a very wounded Ryan Blaney machine. Let's show you some replays on what transpired coming to the line to complete the stage.
Yeah, Bowman with just a push trying to get to the start-finish line to get the best finish. And the cars get very light in the tri-oval. There's not as much banking there. The cars aren't planted in the racetrack, and a little bit of push, it just gets Blaney out of control.
And a huge impact for both the 12 of Blaney, the 1 of Chastain. Watch this and listen. Just an enormous impact to that outside safer barrier.
And watch behind this, the 22 and the 11, both playoff drivers. 22 impact, 11 also. Parker.
Right, and the 22 did get some damage in that. You saw him at the back, so you see the team here on pit road. They've been working on the front splitter, especially the right side, and also getting that hood down by riveting it down. It had popped up a little bit, so a bit of nose damage and splitter damage for the 22 there for Joey Logano.
Another driver that was in the accident, the 11 of Denny Hamlin, he kind of got the chain reaction, so it's hard to tell exactly how much damage the 11 has. We're going to have to see when it comes to the attention of their crew. For everyone else, it's going to be fill up those gas tanks and probably new tires, Marty.
As of now, Steve, Alex Bowman has earned points in every stage of the playoffs except one. He gets points here, said he's a little bit freer than he would like. His teammate William Byron twice has driven from mid-pack, mid-stage up to the front. He has earned the most points today. The water's a little bit warm in the 24. That's the only complaint.
Chase Elliott on your bottom left missed that green flag stop with his teammates because he didn't hear the call. Worked out for him. Grabbed some stage points for Fresh Goodyear Tires, Sunoco Fuel. Austin Cindric, your bottom right in the 2 car, waiting on fuel. Crew Chief Brian Wilson saying this is probably the last time we'll take tires. No changes. Austin did say it was a little snug. As the race off pit road goes to Kyle Busch.
It might be a lonely fight to the finish for Austin Cindric with his 2 teammates having wounded race cars. What a finish to stage 2. Is that setting us up for an unbelievable run to the end?
It is an art, choosing gladiators. They're usually prisoners of war.
I claim this city for the glory.
Back at Talladega, the Yellawood 500 continues. I want to show you a replay of the end of the second stage involving this man here, reigning Cup Series champ, Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, this wreck happened because of the importance of stage points. So even though Ryan Blaney is in this crash, he comes across the start-finish line right there in 8th place. So he will get points for 8th place. Now, we think a couple of 3 points might not make any difference, but I am telling you, we have seen over and over to make the next round of the playoffs, 1 point, a tie can make a difference. That right there, we'll have to wait to see after the race today, but after the race at the Roval, how that works out.
We've seen a lot of issues on pit road. Watch this, the 48 fuel so important. He shakes his head, can't get the dump can unplugged. Dump can gets pulled out of the pit box. That should be a penalty on the 48. And Blaney trying to run as many pace laps as possible has finally come to an end.
Yep. He's trying to run as many laps because, you know, other people could be in the wreck, right? And now he could finish 1 or 2 positions ahead.
And this adds to the list that we were talking about before for Ryan Blaney, unfortunately. Daytona, the Glen, etc. When we're gearing up for the Roval next weekend, you can catch the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. It's the season finale. It's Petit Le Mans, one of the best endurance sports car races you can watch. 10 hours, it's a classic, and you'll see it at 12 p.m. Eastern on NBC. The Yellawood 500 continues here at Talladega. We're in that stage break in between stage 2 and the final stage, and we want to say thanks to Traveller Whiskey. Today's aerial coverage brought to you by Traveller Whiskey. And there is a sight that Ryan Blaney fans don't want to see, the 12 being towed back to the garage area. He did as many laps as he could, but the day has come to an end. Jimmy Johnson, the 7-time champ, fellow Hall of Famer Dale Jarrett on the Peacock pit box. DJ, that was a pretty dramatic end to the second stage.
Yeah, it certainly was. Quite different from the first stage where we saw 4 wide racing. They get 2 wide racing there at the end. You could see things really ramp up, Jimmy. Was there anything else that stood out to you in that second stage that we might look forward to here in stage 3?
Yeah, I think the 4 wide's really dependent upon guys that are saving fuel, and then you have others with a lot of fuel that can push and go forward, and it creates that 4 wide racing. It's just crazy that they can run 4 wide without an incident, and then here coming to the finish, we end up with the crash that we had. Down to you, Dave.
Hey, Jimmy, another playoff driver to keep an eye on that had damage there is Tyler Reddick. He said to his team it's a pretty solid hit to the nose. So when they came down pit road, they made some repairs to that and gave him 4 fresh tires and fuel. Remember, Tyler came in today below the cut line after starting Kansas last week above the cut line. The roller coaster is going in his direction right now. We'll see how fast the 45 can be in the pack when they go going again.
61 to go. We take the green flag, kind of rinse and repeat. The final stage also needs a pit stop. Who could be the most efficient with the planning?
Kyle Busch, Bubba Wallace form that front row, ready to get the signal to go. The Yellawood 500, the final stage. Let's do it. Opening 2 stages, very different. Pretty much formation and rhythmic in the first stage. Second stage had varied strategies and was certainly more mixed. What are we in store for here over the next 61 laps?
Chaos. That's what my guess is going to be.
You don't think it's going to get calmer?
I do not.
Look at Chris Buescher in that third lane. 17 up on the high side. Austin Cindric and William Byron tucked in behind Bubba Wallace and Kyle Busch, and Chase Elliott's in there as well.
Austin Cindric continuing to do a great job on this type of racetrack. 12 stage points earned today. That's second most behind William Byron at 14.
And Jeff, that's a good point, because yes, we've got a long way to go. But to follow that Cindric storyline, he was 12th and last in the playoff picture before the green flag today. As the points run, Austin has dragged himself up to 7th and above the cut line.
Yeah, Alex Bowman, he has a chance to gain a lot of spots because he's toward the back. Reddick toward the back. Logano, we're not sure how much damage he's got. It didn't look too bad, Steve. He could gain a lot of spots here as well.
Yeah, the 22 and the 11, I was surprised. Both look like they took pretty hard hits, yet I think the cars survived pretty well. I think they have enough car to continue to race and be aggressive. Speaking of aggressive, and the 22, let's go on board with Coca-Cola on board as he finds his way 3 wide top, about 20 rows back.
So how do you get your track position back, right? You have run in the front all day if you're Logano. Now you're back here. So what are you going to do? How are you going to find your way to the front? He's running 28th.
The key's right here. This is how you find your way to the front. You somehow manage your fuel better than the rest. So if we do see a green flag pit stop, you can be more efficient. You can pass cars on the pit stop. If everyone else is managing the fuel, then you attack and get those positions. You just need to kind of be on the other side of whatever the group is planning.
Here comes the 14 of Chase Briscoe. Third lane, up high, second car back. And he continues this never give up, never say die theme in the 14 for these playoffs. He got in via that highly dramatic and entertaining victory in Darlington. Got taken out in a crash in Atlanta, and then just fought his way back to make it through to the round of 12. Is it possible for Briscoe to go one step further and get into the 8? Big crash at the end of stage 2, multiple cars, and the bit maybe the heaviest impacted was Ross Chastain. He's with Marty.
Yeah, Lee, anytime you see fire in a race car, it's good to see the driver get out and be okay out of the care center. Ross Chastain, what was your take on the contact that happened at the end of stage 2?
I'm not sure what happened with those guys down in the middle line. Coming into the trial, I followed the 8, Team Chevy, and pushed him in the third lane, fanned out to push the Chevy. And yeah, somebody got chucked up, and seeing Ryan in there, I'm guessing it was the yellow blur I saw was the 12, but for our Busch Light Chevy to kick off hunting season with a camo can, I wish we were more invisible, like we'll be in the woods with that can than we were there coming to the end. But yeah, big hit. This Gen 7 car is super safe though, kept me safe. They got the fire put out, and we'll go on next week.
The winner at Kansas last week is the first out at Talladega here today. William Byron up in the top 5 right now. And we mentioned a moment ago that Rudy Fugle and Byron have earned the most points today. Fugle reminded his driver that just moments ago. Listen in.
I just remember if we finish 21st today, we get 30 points on the day from where we got. So if you ever feel uncomfortable, getting out of there, racing at the end is perfectly fine. Copy. Okay. Yep.
It's all about managing the race for William Byron from here. Ryan Blaney, glad to see him out of the care center as well. So Ryan, what was your take on the contact after the push from the 48?
I don't think it was much of a push, more of just him driving through me. At like the worst spot you can drive through somebody. So yeah, I mean, just got wrecked once again by somebody else and just ended our day, which stinks. And yeah, have to fight back next week.
In your take, has the racing been a little more chaotic than even normal? We saw 4 wide for almost 20 laps.
Yeah, we survived 4 wide because guys were pretty smart and gave each other a little bit of room and didn't just shove people. They kind of lifted and were smart. And that was the opposite of what happened to us.
There you go. Glad to see Ryan Blaney. Okay, Lee.
Marty, that's his 7th DNF of the season. He has never had that many before, and there's been like 4 in the last 7 races. To Ryan's point, saying, let me show you what I can do if I don't get taken out. And the same story happens again, Steve.
So it's crazy to understand, especially if you haven't watched a lot of races at Talladega, but here in the corner, while you would think you would have the least amount of grip because you're cornering, the car is squished into that 33 degrees of banking. So it actually has some pretty good force on the car. The straightaways, the car get light, but Jeff, you've said it time and time again, it's right here, the tri-oval. This awkward cornering without a lot of vertical load.
Yeah, it's where the car is the most unstable. The car has not near as much downforce on it. It doesn't have the grip in that part of the racetrack. And, you know, Blaney said he just got driven through, and part of that is that push would have been fine on the straight. No problem whatsoever, but in the tri-oval, sometimes it's just not enough grip to push there.
Well, the other thing, let's add in 54 laps, the tri-oval will be where this race is decided. So the pushes are going to come whether you think you can hold on to it or not.
Get ready.
Chase Briscoe sits in the middle of AJ Allmendinger and Chris Buescher. 54 to go. Did you know that you can sign up for the NASCAR newsletter to stay up to speed on all the latest from the track and get your chance to win 2 tickets to next season to a race of your choice in the 2025 calendar? Just scan the QR code, visit nascar.com/race ticket promo to enter. 50 laps to go, brought to you by Yellawood. Of course, this is the Yellawood 500. And Joey Logano in the Shell Pennzoil 22 leads the way. Parker Kligerman, how on earth did that happen after being involved in that end of stage 2 wreck?
Absolutely incredible. Remember, they pitted multiple times to fix the damage on the front of that race car, including the splitter and on top of the hood. The hood was buckled at one point. They riveted it down and put reflective tape up there. He got to the bumper of Todd Gillen, who's pushing him right now, and he told the team, I'm with him to the front, and they both did that, getting to the front here. What a remarkable comeback. This Team Penske 22 team, who've scored no stage points today, now find themselves at the front of the field in the final stage.
Pretty cool stuff from AJ Allmendinger as well. He got the free pass, and now the Dinger's at the front in that 13 Strive Chevrolet. Here we go, the Strive on board, looking back at Chase Briscoe. His Corlick teammate, Shane Van Gisbergen, has been up there, but he just recently dropped back. Here he is, the WeatherTech on board. SVG has dropped back probably about 8 positions in the last few laps. Just getting shuffled back while his teammate runs closer to the front.
It was interesting, Allmendinger and Logano both started toward the back, and here they are in the front of the pack. So, whoa, 4 wide right here. That was a quick move. That's going to hang Kyle Busch out. No, he finds a way back in.
Stenhouse drops down to that middle lane. He tucks in behind Gilliland. AJ Allmendinger on the inside of Logano and forced him up a lane. Back to the middle with Gilliland behind. Teammate Austin Cindric's on the outside, and Austin Dillon, there's the 3. The Bass Pro Shops tracker machine comes into the mix. And as was the case in qualifying, both RCR Chevys are at the front. Good stuff.
Logano trying to pick a lane. Pulls up in front of teammate Austin Cindric.
Steve, this has got shades of stage 1 all over it.
It really does. You have 3 cars very patient, taking care of one another at the front of the field. Everyone just trying to be very efficient with their cars, positioning themselves for the last 47 laps, also positioning themselves for upcoming pit stops. They can run much further, but they must stop in this stage. When will they decide to do it? We saw green flag pit stops really break up the pack in stage 2.
Speaking of stage 2, how about round 2 of the playoffs? 1.5 mile Kansas, 2.6 mile monster that is Talladega, and next weekend we're in Charlotte, North Carolina at the Roval. Let's go on board, the Palmolive on board with Ricky Stenhouse.
This is the 3rd car in line in the middle. Now the 2nd car in line, bright green car, middle row. You see on the left, the steering, on the right, the footwork. Left foot taps the brake, right foot out of the gas completely, or maybe half throttle. Continue to try to work that throttle. 192 miles an hour, yet off the gas a little bit. 2 reasons. 1, to not hit the car in front of him, but also save a little gas.
Yeah, watch as he gets to the rear bumper of the car in front of him. He'll slowly come off the throttle, get a little bit of a push, a little bit of brake. Now he's got gap in the throttle, as he starts to gain on the car in front. Now he has to ease off just a little bit to keep that gap right.
I love the footwork. It's just so impressive how dialed in they are.
It's a window into the mind, isn't it? From one end of the body to the other.
Well, people ask, what makes a good race car driver, and it's the connection of all this. It's what they feel in their hands. It's what they feel kind of in their butt and their back, in the actual resistance of the car through the seat, and then how precise can they be with their feet? Is it a fine-tuned gear, or is it a coarse situation? You can see the small movements with his feet.
The trust required of all the people around you. guy in front of you, behind you. It takes so much trust. You put your own health in their hands.
Three-time Talladega winner Joey Logano leads the way. And in the vicinity of Logano is the 14 and fellow playoff driver Chase Briscoe. There he is, Dave.
Lee second in line on the bottom, and that paint scheme very familiar, black, red, and yellow Rush Truck Centers. They have been with Stewart Haas Racing for 15 years, but in a rotating sponsor world, they've never been on the car when the car has gone to victory lane, not with Tony Stewart, not with Clint Boyer. Today is the last day that Rusty Rush will be sponsoring at Stewart Haas Racing. He has to win today if he's going to get that famous victory lane photo he so much wants. Rusty is here, and he's rooting for the 14 more than ever in its final start with his colors.
43 to go. Logano, Armendinger, Gilliland, and Cindric trying to drag himself up to get through to the round of 8. Time to bring you the Xfinity fastest lap, and it happened back on lap 102 when we say well done John Hunter Nemechek. The Legacy Motor Club Gear Wrench Toyota for the quickest circuit of the day. And we've got just under 40 to go. Here comes the pack out of 4 into the tri-oval.
200-mile-an-hour chess game between drivers and crew chiefs as Briscoe gets to a very uncomfortable position on that left rear bumper of the 13.
That's just smart racing by Briscoe right there. Just off the throttle a little bit. Recognize the situation, don't get him spun around. We talk about all these playoff guys. Denny Hamlin coming into this race, a lot of talk about him and his ability to potentially win this championship. No stage points today, and he is mired back at 27th, and that is not where you want to be. He is, how are you going to find your way to the front here? And at some point, with 39 to go and a pit stop left, At some point, somebody's got to start forcing this 4 wide issue. Put yourself in positions you don't want to be in.
Let's take you inside the world of the race leader, the 22 of Joey Logano, and have a listen to his spotter, Coleman Presley. Here we go.
You're clear to it only. There's a 4th lane starting about 6 rows back. Nose ahead up top, you're cleared to it. Middle and top's the same, middle and top's the same. Middle and top's the same. You'll get distance, still inside. Still inside, still there. Mid 3, you'll get the distance. Mid 3, you are clear. The 38 is not. 38's 2 ahead of his helper. You're cleared only the top, middle and top's the same. 38 is cleared to the top. 38 is cleared to the top. 38 is cleared to the top. 38 is cleared. 38 is cleared. 38 is cleared.
And the interesting thing is there is the guy right beside Joey Logano, AJ Allmendinger. Coleman Presley spots for the dinger in the Xfinity Series. So he knows exactly what the guy on the inside's going to do.
Yeah, these spotters do such a nice job. They're so specialized that they work at least 2. Some of them work all 3 series. Is now that 4 wide that he mentioned is starting to creep to the front.
And you knew it had to happen. Some of those guys in the back, the only way to get it toward the front is start forcing the issue, and that is by making it 4 wide.
Let's give a shout out to a couple of drivers a little further back. Noah Gragson in that light green and white car, the Beefaroo Ford. Corey LaJoy for Rick Ware Racing. He's up on the fence. He's tucked in behind Daniel Hemrick. Doing a good job. What's that next car back there? Zane Smith in the 71. He's in the mix mid-pack.
Chase Elliott, the first car, one of the first cars to make it 4 wide. There he is. That is not the situation he wants to be in. Pretty good shape in these playoff points right now. You would love to be 2 wide or single file, not 4 wide. Still 36 to go.
Build submarines on board for Brad Keselowski.
This camera, it is on the roof. It's not eye level for Brad, and you still can see what he is not able to, and that's what's in front of the 10 car. He has no idea what the car in front of the 10 is doing. That information is coming directly from the spotter. He can see to the left or the right of him, but if somebody's directly in front, you just cannot see it.
Jeff, how mentally taxing is this? This has got to be mentally exhausting to do this for so many laps at this speed with this intensity level.
Yeah, it's hot today, so it's physical as well, but way more mental. I mean, it's a game of inches, and you want to maximize everything. You want Brad Keselowski to get right to that bumper of the 10 car, but if you misjudge it a little bit, you make contact, you can wreck the whole field and, of course, yourself. And it is exhausting. This race, when it's over, you are looking for some rest.
This is the most 4 wide I think I've ever seen. Jeff, you and I have watched a lot of races from Talladega, and there's been moments, but it has been lap after lap after lap in stage 1, and then again here in stage 3, where it's 4 wide for multiple rows.
And this is wild. Just, we've gotten this crazy, Steve. We've gotten kind of accustomed to it today. I mean, this is not normal, as you just said.
Look at Gragson. Look at Noah Gragson in the 10. He's got to run in that 3rd lane. He's got Keselowski behind him, pushing him.
Yeah, and you can see that at the back of that, we talked about Denny Hamlin a little bit ago. He decided to go with that 4 wide lane, trying to get himself to the front. Oh, contact.
Whoa.
Great save.
And Ryan Preece got a good view of that right behind Keselowski.
Oh, that got everybody's attention. As soon as that happened, everybody lifts. Didn't stop Brad from pushing him, though, did it?
Tell you what, it hasn't stopped Noah from going for it.
Wow.
He's enjoying this run. Now he tucks in behind Austin Dillon. Let's have another look at it.
Here it is, Brad. Coming to Noah. Knows he's clear in front. Actually, Noah got out of the throttle a little bit there. Noah had some kind of handling issue.
He got a haircut before this weekend. He's got the high sides. He said that'll help him aerodynamically. Of course, jokingly. But maybe, just maybe, it's working. .30 laps to go in the Yellawood 500 here at Talladega Superspeedway. AJ Allmendinger gets a little shove from Chase Briscoe. Down on the low side in the 13, the two Penske's on his outside. Joey Logano, who locked his way in to this round of 12 by winning at Atlanta at the beginning of the playoffs. Can he do it again and lock himself into the round of 8 with a victory here today? Still a lot of work and a lot of nerve-wracking moves to come.
Austin Dillon, real aggressive to the back of the 2 of Cindric.
We saw the 19F Truex spin and some other issues coming up pit road. With even more on the line, getting to pit road is going to be even more difficult. You're going to want to get every 10th of a second.
Hey Stevie, I know you're used to calling the shots. Thanks for making my first Talladega so enjoyable. This doesn't look real.
It doesn't.
It's crazy.
These drivers continue to put on their talents on display, and it doesn't look real to think they're going to drive for multiple hours within a few feet, if not a few inches of another car above 180 miles an hour for the entire day.
Yeah, it is amazing we haven't had more cautions. Look at that push by Todd Gilliland.
AJ Allmendinger had his Xfinity Series championship hopes, playoff hopes, take a pretty big dent yesterday, crashing out towards the end. They had multiple overtimes. Maybe, just maybe, he can drive his way to a Cup victory here in this Strive Chevy for Kaulig Racing.
That was such a great shot when the 38 hits the 22. They're hitting him so hard, it's deflecting the rear bumper.
What about Todd Gilliland in the red and yellow Georgia Peanut Ford for Front Row Motorsports?
It would not shock me if he goes to victory lane today. This 38 and Todd Gilliland seems to always be at the front at these speedway races. Sometimes just didn't have quite the right moves coming to the checkered flag. You mentioned it earlier in the broadcast, Jeff, but returning to front row, McDowell moving on. Marty.
Steve, we talked about the pushes that Todd Gilliland is giving Joey Logano. In fact, a moment ago, they told Todd on the radio, Logano is very happy with what you're doing. Keep those pushes coming.
We're going to squeeze in a quick break so we can come back and get ready for what should be the final round of stops. The Dinger leads the way. Through the tri-oval, coming to the line, and it'll be just 23 laps to go.
And a lot of positioning, a lot of cars looking like they're wanting to move to the middle or the bottom of the racetrack. We are closing in on green flag pit stops. Who comes with who? Is it manufacturer base? Is it who you're with near the racetrack? How soon do the crew chiefs inform the drivers? Hands out the window on the backstretch would be the signal from driver to driver.
And we've seen multiple incidents on pit lane entry, Jeff, today. Martin Truex Jr., Brad Keselowski missing it, other drivers missing it. Who's got the finesse and the discipline to execute this final stop the best way?
And now late in the race, the consequences are even higher, so drivers are going to try to get even more speed on corner entry.
And let's not forget about those pit crews. Just because we're doing gas only does not make this any easier. The gas man is going to try to come off pit wall with over a 100-pound gas can on his shoulder, plug in instantaneously before the car even stops, and then put a calculated time in. Hand out the window, 13, AJ Allmendinger. I believe you're going to see pit stops this time. First car in line, that bright green, aqua-colored 13. There was a hand out the window going into 1.
So watch, if he pits this time, watch, there it is, hand out the window. See it? That's the indication. So watch what happens behind him. Watch who gets slowed up, who doesn't get slowed up. Now the words going back to the spotters, hey, 13's pitting, 13's pitting, but what lane does this hurt? He will come off and get on the straightaway, stay to the left. There's plenty of room to go around and to the right.
Who else is coming? Daniel Hemrick, I think, is coming. Preece, is it? Dinger's the first one in. Here comes Shane Van Gisbergen as well. Marty's there.
Really just the Collet cars coming down pit road a little early on this side of the window. And A.J. Allmendinger actually got some damage earlier on in a green flag cycle, so they wanted to make sure it was clean here. 21 to go at Talladega.
And with this car, when these cars pitted, that gave room for the 22 of Joey Logano to get to the bottom. So now he's in a position. No more hands out the window this time yet that I see. I think we're going to see another completed lap.
Once again, the Penske teammates, they work together so well. They take pride in it. It wasn't always the case, Steve. A few races they wrecked together. They had to work it out, learn how to do it.
Well, Roger Penske, right? Leadership at the top. Have to have those uncomfortable conversations.
Effort equals results. The captain always says there's no lack of effort from these guys at the front. Cindric, Logano on that low side. How about Austin Dillon? What a run he's having. His RCR teammates only 3-4 cars back. Kyle Busch still in with a shot of continuing that win streak of 20 consecutive seasons with at least one victory. Stenhouse has been at the front all day long.
Yeah, big push right here. Austin Dillon to the bottom. I wonder if that means he's going to try to pit. No, he's up the racetrack. He's not pitting. He just had such a push.
Any takers this time? You bet. Here comes Bubba Wallace.
But only 3, a surprising number. You want to come with more than that as the 43. It'll be very interesting to see if he was speeding on pit road. This is a small number to pit with. It will hurt your get up to speed lap. The drafting matters, even leaving pit road, Dave.
Chris Buescher's been exciting all day long, running up at front in the 17 car. Scott Graves told him we've got nothing to lose, not in the playoffs, and we're going to prove it. He'll get just fuel here.
The Watkins Glen winner is serviced and sent and gets out ahead of Bubba Wallace. We'll follow up what happened with Eric Jones, if he's going to get penalized or not. Meanwhile, at the front, the pressure is on. Todd Gilliland leads. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Inside is Austin Dillon in the 3.
And much like us, every crew chief watches the pack come off turn 4 to decide, are there any more takers? No, the pack stays together, and the pack has picked up a 1.5 seconds since the first group pitted. No more riding, no more part throttle. It's go time.
18 laps left.
I think we're about to see the Penske's on pit road. They got to the bottom a little bit ago. I saw several other teammate Harrison Burton, Alliance car. He got to the bottom. Look at this mess.
Oh, they're fighting for the bottom, aren't they?
Yep. Larson trying to get to the bottom.
This is a big line. They can't be fighting down there for nothing. Who's going to peel left here?
Cindric went to the top, so he's not pitting.
Get ready. Who are the takers? Who's coming? Here we go. Stenhouse is coming. Dillon is coming. Chase Elliott is coming. So too Kyle Busch. Here they come, Marty.
Everyone cleanly on pit road. When I talked to Rudy Fugle, the crew chief for William Byron earlier this week, he said, this is what we execute so well. Green flag stop. Byron on pit road with 17 to go, Kim.
And his teammate Chase Elliott got the cue this time after missing at the last green flag stop. Fuel only for Chase Elliott. His teammate Larson looking for that first super speedway win. Fuel only for both of those teammates down on pit road.
Look at this. Look at this race off pit road. Phenomenal.
They all know the position's going to matter when they get single file. This time the Fords are coming. The hands were out the window in the backstretch. The Chevys got the pit road cleanly and organized. Can the Fords match? Widen out. Get air to the front. Get air to the brakes. Hard on the brakes for all of the Fords. Looking really good, Parker.
All right, they all come down here, including some of the Toyotas as well. It looked like joining these Fords because the Toyotas did not do well on that stage 2 cycle when they got beat by many of the cars. Joe Logano there getting fuel only from the front of the field. Dave?
Chase Briscoe and another Ford brings the 14 in. He'll be fuel only as well. A tear-off so we can see better. Try to manage things here, Kim.
Yep, we had Austin Cindric. They said go, 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 go. Got the seconds of fuel they needed. Also in pit road, Brad Keselowski, a whole brigade of Fords.
I have a destiny. Power. I have will control in it.
Stop.
Now, how much fuel did you save? How much fuel did you put in? Will you blend these cars off pit road? Ricky Stenhouse Jr., the light green and white car at speed. First lane into turn one. They're going to continue every position. They start to go by, but on the backstretch, how much will the momentum carry? The Chevys are organized, single file, Jeff, they look good.
And let's see, though, those Fords are way out front.
On board with the leader of stopping on lap 171. Ricky Stenhouse goes around Ryan Preece easily and effectively.
Look how single file those top 4 Fords are. They've done a nice job of getting organized quickly.
Wide open. You're clear everywhere.
Oh, wide open, you're clear everywhere. Stenhouse takes it to the right side of Gilliland.
He takes it, but this slows this line down a little bit. Double file, watch this, to the 14. Look at those 4 Fords.
And the 8 pulls out of line, which hurts the 9 and the 24. The Chevys are thinking we needed to stay single file.
So now they got to get lined up, and when they do, and it's going to happen, when they go,
whoa!
Kyle Busch almost got into the side of Larson.
So now the chase is on.
They're going to have big forward momentum coming to these Fords now.
McDowell's coming in. That's the yellow car on the low line there. Slowing. It's Austin Cindric at the front of this field with 15 to go.
Chase Elliott pulled out of line, pulls to the rear bumper of the 47, the 5th car back. He'll jump up to the outside of one of the Fords. Stenhouse, tons of forward momentum, as you pointed out, Jeff. The Chevy's still attacking.
Even though he is not in that top 3, Chase Briscoe said, I believe the Ford drivers work together better than the other manufacturers. Look at this. Up goes Keselowski, trying to make it difficult for Stenhouse. Cindric still leads. Elliott tucks in behind Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
Ford versus Chevrolet. 4 Fords on the bottom, 3 Chevrolets on the outside.
Stenhouse, the perfect guy to lead the Chevy brigade, Jeff, because he's so aggressive to kind of thread the needle as they recovered. And here it is, 14 to go, the lead pack back together.
That is, we talk about getting on pit road, and people act like don't understand how hard it is, and to do it well, you get the result of what happened with Cindric, Keselowski, all of those guys. They did everything right.
This is manufacturer pride on the line. This is playoff points. Who just ducked to the inside there?
Gilliland on pit road. I'm not sure. Oh, he has a penalty. A penalty on the 38. Too fast entering. That's going to kill the speed of the Fords.
He was one of the key contenders for Front Row Motorsports. Todd's chances of a big win here on the big track are gone today. Stenhouse, Elliott, William Byron on that high line. Kyle Larson is in the mix as well. Chevy versus Ford in those lines. The Coca-Cola on board with Joey Logano.
It's getting aggressive, obviously, with 13 to go. Things are flying 190 miles an hour. Reaching speeds of right at 200 down the straights, into the straights.
We talk a lot about the chaos, Jeff, and at 3 and 4 wide, I'm just not sure what a driver can do. But when it turns too wide like this is like quintessential drafting right here. How much do you back up? How much do you move forward? When do you pull out of line? I just feel like there's more in the driver's hand than when it's just clogged up 4 wide.
Yeah, no doubt. And then how do you push, right? Because now the temptation is to push harder than you have all day long.
198 miles an hour. My goodness. Cindric, Keselowski, Logano we ride with. Harrison Burton's having a good run in that Dex Ford as well.
And who will be the first one to try to make it 3 wide on the outside?
I would imagine row 5, row 6, right? Because if you're in the front 2 rows, you're kind of in position for the last 10 laps. Is it Kyle Busch, that bright blue car, 6 back on the outside? Is this the race that's going to continue to streak? Or maybe Ryan Preece just in front of him in the 41?
The fear is if you jump to the outside and people don't go with you, you're going to go straight to the back. So you have to know that the guy behind you is going. You can see a little bit of an effort all the way at the back. A.J. Allmendinger trying to get it going.
You jump out of line in front of me, Jeff, I'm going to thank you for the position.
Yes.
And just fill right in the hole you left.
Well, watch that high line. You've got the teammates together. Allmendinger and Shane Van Gisbergen. They're a long way back, but we'll see if they can make any progress. There's 10 laps to go from here.
They're too far back by themselves, but if it starts to build some momentum, guys will jump up in front of them, and it will continue to build right there. It did not work. They're all back to the outside lane.
The highest speeds we've seen today.
You've been working this entire race, Diff, to get here.
Yeah.
You positioned yourself. You've done everything to get in this position.
That third lane worked earlier today for Eric Jones. He just popped the Dollar Tree car out there to have a look to see if anybody would go with him. They didn't. Austin Cindric, is it possible that he goes from last place in the playoffs to win and lock himself in the 8? We'll know in 9 laps time.
Brad Keselowski in that 6 car, he is not afraid to push. He is one of the most aggressive pushers on the racetrack.
Back to the story about it's not random. Look at the names and look at the resumes. Austin Cindric, Daytona 500 winner. Ricky Stenhouse, 500 winner. Brad Keselowski, so many super speedway wins. Elliott, Logano. The group always finds their way to the front.
Harrison Burton ahead of Chase Briscoe. William Byron ahead of his teammate. Look at the Hendrick cars there. 1, 2, 3 in Elliott, Byron, and Larson. Then Ryan Preece, Kyle Busch, and Tyler Reddick.
And we talked about the opportunity for a third lane to form up. These guys do not want to see that. They want it to stay double file. That allows them to understand how they can attack. There it is. There's an attempt. Let's see if they can build the energy needed.
For 23.11. To see Reddick in the 45 rally late in this race will be a relief because he was down in the high 20s. Reddick runs 14th. Here's the Toyota on board. Another great run here at Talladega by Noah Gragson. He had a top 3 result earlier in the year, and he too is in the mix again.
More cars beating that outside lane, top 3 wide. Eric Jones trying to lead it. It's not worked yet.
And as a crew chief, this is when you have become a fan. You can't be on the radio. You have to let the spotter do what the spotter does. It can happen in really a blink of an eye. So you are literally just glued to the TV, sitting on top of the pit box.
How's that top line working? Are they making any momentum? Are they making any ground?
They are a little bit. Not a lot yet, but a few. If these bottom 2 rows, if they start to have a little bit of issue having to lift off the throttle, then that outside lane will get some serious momentum. Let's see if it happens this time.
Hemrick pushing Austin Dillon. Use the blue and black car of Bubba Wallace as the reference point. There goes Dillon. Can Hemrick stay with him? Or is that run going to fall flat? It falls flat for now.
And as long as it falls flat, then no one is tempted to try it. Not yet. With 2 or 3 to go, they're going to go everywhere.
And from this point, Jeff, 6 to go.
Sitting in that car, Diff. Blood, your heart rate's through the roof. It is firing. You are doing everything to stay calm. Remind yourself to breathe. Focus on all the work you've done. What do I need to do to execute this?
Car 47 out in front, and we've had 47 minutes of continuous racing. Awesome day here at Talladega.
To be clear, my heart rate's through the roof right here, much less in those cars.
Well, Jeff, we talk about simulation, practice, studying, watching video. You cannot replicate this. You do not get many attempts at this. That is where a Logano and a Brad Keselowski has the experience. That's where it helps. You're going to get one shot to make the right move. You're just not sure when it's going to happen.
Yeah, they're catching 38 car. Remember, he served a penalty. They're going to try to get around him. Todd's going to probably stay right to the bottom. This late in the race, there's no need in playing games with this.
This is what happened to A.J. Allmendinger earlier. And look at that. Look at the speed of the pack. Here we go. Cindric's gone. So too is Logano. Harrison Burton's in there. LaJoy.
The whole field.
My goodness.
Something stacked everybody up on the front 2 rows. The pushes something happened to slow them down. Look at this mess.
with 5 to go. We got this far.
Logano's in it.
As a car, Logano went pretty early. Here's Gilliland trying to get back to it. It was Austin Cindric that was going down the backstretch facing the wrong way. LaJoie went off track, now he rejoins. Here's an interesting way to return to pit lane from
Reddick after the disappointment of Kansas. Bowman, a great run in the playoffs. He gets back to pit road to the service of his crew. The rest of this mess has to be untangled.
So, 2 of the key playoff players who got through that, Kyle Larson and William Byron.
Now who can get rolling?
That's right, Jeff. A lot of conversations been talked about, are you out of the race, are you not? Well, all these cars have had significant contact, so if you can't get your car back under your own power, I'd be shocked if NASCAR's not going to allow you, or going to allow you to continue. Austin Cindric windowing that down. That's basically day over.
You can see drivers, if they feel like it can roll, they're going to keep their window net down. They're going to ask just to get pushed off, get pulled back.
They also have a system that you can air up, and it actually extends the rear shocks. It's a newer flat tire system, so you can drive back on flat tires. We'll see if any of these cars are able to drive away from the wreck on their own power.
And you can have a good finish with just a little bit of damage.
Yeah. Are there any with just a little bit of damage? I mean, what mess over there.
John Hunter Nemechek trying to get the gear wrench Toyota going to drive back to pit road. Wow.
Noah Gregson's got his car moving.
Cindric's out.
Cindric led 29 laps today and was at the front, there or thereabouts, in those top 3 rows for the majority of the race.
Briscoe, all right, here it is. We were looking at the back of the pack. I knew something happened at the front to get everybody stacked up. Watch the bottom row. Right there. The 2 got so far out in front of the 6, and then with all the pushing and shoving, when he got to the 2 car, he was going so fast. Right here, boom, and around he goes.
He got there, and he was also kind of moving from right to left. He wasn't, you know, it happened so quick.
Look at the push. But this is what I saw.
That's
the pushing,
right.
And the 22 was getting pushed by the 21.
Right.
The 21 was getting pushed by the car behind him. It all happened, Dick, because the 2 got out so far. And that got mixed up when they passed the lap car of Gilliland. Yeah. That changed the energy of the pack.
That was a big hit to the left side of the 47. Unbelievable. The 47 was able to keep it straight. If we watch that again, watch this 2 car right here. Gets pushed, bang, right off the 47. Stenhouse is able to keep it straight.
Look at the 9, Chase Elliott, big impact. You're talking about a big wreck with big ramifications for the playoffs. I mean, Austin Cindric's essentially leading this race, and if he wins it, he's advancing to the next round, and here he is crashed.
Kyle Larson and Kyle Busch, they sail through. Here's the view from the 47. Oh, wow.
Logano's car, you saw it hop up in the air.
Chris Busch's view. Daniel Suarez was in there, Zane Smith as well. How about Chase Elliott? This isn't going to be good.
Look at all of these race cars, and I'm going to tell you, one driver that's not even in this. Matter of fact, he's been done for a while. Ryan Blaney. That was a massive, potentially huge deal for him. Remember, he was crashed. He was out of this race. And all of these cars are going to have poor finishes. That is going to be a big help to Ryan Blaney.
Tyler Reddick's view. Alex Bowman's ride. And he was able to continue and get back to his pit box.
It's just, you know, all the pushing and shoving, and eventually, Steve, it's more than it'll work out.
One great bit of news in this accident, all the cars stayed on their tires. That was a point of conversation coming here. Some changes by NASCAR. You know, wrecks are still wrecks, and I'm sure a lot of these did not feel great for the driver, but all the cars staying on their tires, a big point of focus coming here. Here you go.
So watch this. So the 2 is out, right? He's going by Todd Gilliland, who's a lap down. Now all of this energy is coming. The 6, the 22, the 21, the 14, all of those just continue to push the 6 into the 2. We talked all day, Diff, about the drivers behind not being able to see the car in front. And that is a great example right there. If they could really see that 2 car, they all would have been checking up a little bit. But when you're 3 cars back, 2 cars back, you have no idea that that car is that far out in front.
And the car that could see the 2 of Austin Cindric the best was the 6 of Brad Keselowski. Let's take you back to some radio.
Joey hit me from behind as I was pushing him. Not really anything I can do there. Yeah, 10-4, man.
So it goes back to what you were saying. You know, when you ride on board with the 6, it just looks like he's hitting the 2. But then when you get a wider perspective, right, it's, well, the 22's hitting the 6, trying to push him, right? And he's catching the 2. And it's, you know, earlier in the race, you would hear the spotters say, you know, close in front, and you would see that 3rd car start to check up a little bit and leave each other space. But 4 laps to go. You know, you just have to continue to try to push, because if he could push the 2 out, then the bottom lane moves. It's just, you know, it's almost a matter of time. Line up a bunch of pool balls and push from the back until one of the pool balls pop out of line, and that's basically what happens, right? You can only push them for so hard, something's going to come out of line. And in this case, it happened to be the 1st car on the inside lane, and that's why you have so many cars involved.
And there are a lot of cars to be retrieved. This was the view of AJ Allmendinger in the Strive Chevy. So close. Got within 5 laps of the finish. And then the big one happened. No, these aren't live scenes of the track. These are cars that have seen better days here at Talladega Superspeedway. Over outside turn 2. There's a lot of history. And maybe some people would rather forget what happened with those. These are live shots here now on a beautiful afternoon in Alabama, where we have come to a very sudden stop after the big one happened. That's Austin Cindric. That was the beginning of it all, and teammate Joey Logano in there, Ryan Preece, Chase Elliott, Harrison Burton, Chase Briscoe, John Hunter Nemechek, Noah Gragson. The list goes on. Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jarrett on the Peacock pit box. Fellas, we got so close, got within 5 laps.
Yeah, we've both been there, I think, probably.
Yeah.
You going along, doing everything that you can, and really Austin Cindric not doing one thing wrong there. I think the one thing that I thought when I first saw it, Jimmy, was why did Keselowski hit him in the rear? But the more replays that I saw as he was getting pushed, it was actually turning his car, Brad's, a little bit left, and that's what created that angle. So it's no way to put blame. It's just racing that happens here, right?
Yeah, especially when you look at those cars and the association with the manufacturer, they're all trying to help each other.
Yeah.
It just didn't turn out well for them. But it just shows how draggy the lead car is. The 2 car got off to a nice lead. He kind of hit that terminal velocity wall. Car starts pulling back, and the energy of the pack is closing so hard. Brad saw it coming, and in my eyes, Brad tried to check up a bit, but the train was rolling, and they drove right on through the 2 car.
And you can see this is all happening is that Todd Gilliland, who had to serve a penalty for speeding coming into pit road earlier, he got out of the way, but Cindric had got that. And as you pointed out, the manufacturers want their guys to run together. Well, the bad thing is that there's something happens, then they're going out together too.
Yeah, it totally is that way. And then what I think a lot of these guys will fall back on, and I know Ryan Blaney's name is back in the conversation because of all the stage points he had. You start now looking back on the day and wondering how many points are going to carry you through. With all these cars tore up, the result, the finish itself, isn't what it once was, unless you're in Victory Lane, of course. Now you have these stage points to worry about, and that's where we're going to let Stevie do all of his calculations up there in that crew chief world that he lives in.
Yeah, and this is so unfortunate because we saw just magnificent racing, but the one good thing and another good thing about this car is the safety of it, and I think Parker has one of the drivers involved here.
Right, DJ catching up here, Daniel Hemrick, who's been checked and released to the infield care center. So what was your view of this massive wreck down the backstretch?
Not a whole lot, Parker. Just seeing it here on the replay. It looked like the 2 was out a little bit, and 6 didn't quite square up. Looked like with the 2, it kind of started the accord. And actually, the first thing I saw was debris going up, and we were trying to get the 3rd lane rolling there. Yeah, so just unfortunate. Proud of everyone at Circle Chevrolet. Really fast qualifying effort for us to put our 31 car in top 10, and hated turned out the way it did. Yeah, I only have, 5 more of these Cup races, so I'm trying to enjoy every one of them. That's not the way you want in the end, but thought I had a hole and just ripped around the top, and just 2 came back up the racetrack at the end and caught me. So I hate that, but proud of these guys. 5 more. Gonna try to do something special.
That's the chaos of Talladega, Dave.
So Parker, down in the salvage yard, Chase Briscoe sits in his number 14 car, knowing that the rule is if he gets out of his car, then his day is over. They've been arguing with the track workers. They're trying to do the best they can to follow NASCAR's rules. Listen.
That Brad Moran, the series director, just told us that we would get a push back to our stall, and that's what we need. Not let them take you out of that race car. Dude, they're saying that even with the air jacket, it won't move because it's so tied down with the back, and I can't get a push. You tell them to push you. I told them 100 times. Put your hand over the latch and do not let them drop that window net.
Okay, Steve, you're the crew chief of the 14. Richard Boswell's doing his best, but boy, that 14 is stuck.
Well, there's 14 stuck, so let's go back. Basically what happens is when a wreck happens, if you've had any amount of significant contact that NASCAR is going to tow you to the garage, your day's over. If you've had little to no contact and you only need help back because of flat tires or you're stuck in the grass, then NASCAR said they'll bring you back to pit road. The problem is that is kind of in the eye of the beholder. What's significant contact? What's too much contact? Now, looking at this 14, the left rear looks flat for sure. The right rear, the toe link looks broke. That is something you can change on pit road. But if the car itself won't push and they got to hook it up to a wrecker, what's their other options? This is something that NASCAR is going to have to look at for next year for this situation. 1 car at a time, it's pretty manageable. But with wrecks like this, Jeff, how do you decide who is in the wreck and who isn't?
Yeah, this is a very difficult situation. And as you said, moving forward, need to find a better way to do this. This is part of the problem is that the car sits on the racetrack or sits in the grass, and you can't get it to roll. And that's ultimately, Steve, that's the reason they're having all these problems.
How about the guy who led 29 laps today, and Parker was at the front for the majority of this race, but it's come to an end. Austin Cindric.
Right, Lee, just checked release from the infield care center here for Austin Cindric. You were at the front there. It looked like an aggressive bump by Brad Keselowski got you turned. Was there anything different you maybe could have done inside?
Hard to say. I mean, obviously incredibly frustrated. Yeah, we have a great shot to win the race, and just really proud of my team, the full execution of the day, being able to get that stage win and put ourselves in position at the front of that green flag pit cycle and then have another shot. I don't know. I don't feel like complaining right now. I'm too pissed off, and it won't do anything. So, it's probably, like I said, proud of the team. Brought some really fast race cars every single race of the playoffs, and we're going to have to go bring another one next week and do my job.
You saw a lot of 4-wide racing today, 3-wide. Did it feel like something like this was brewing with the pushes getting more aggressive?
I'd say the 4-wide and even the 3-wides a lot to do with a lot of the strategy side of things. And, I mean, that middle of 4 stuff for I don't know how many laps we did. It's got to be some of the craziest stuff I've ever been a part of. But felt like we're in a great place to control there. And it's going to be between me and the 47 there, just trying to figure out when I was going to be able to get my runs and kind of mathing that out every time we came to the start-finish line. But, yeah, like I said, a couple laps short and torn up race car.
Heartbreak for Austin Cindric and the 2 team, guys.
Sure is. He will leave Talladega still on the wrong side of the playoffs cut line, and a crucial race next weekend at the Roval in Charlotte. The cleanup continues, and we've got a race to finish. Cleanup continues of a wreck, the big one that involved 28 cars. Just incredible.
Well, the biggest of the big ones, and how did it look like for the two of Cindric Carr backwards? And this is where it's scary. An extra contact, back of the car comes up, and then the car sets back down. And you know, I had mentioned all the cars stayed on the ground. There's some other cars here spinning at that speed. The 9 of Chase Elliott, it looked slow in slow motion, but that car had the chance to go in the air. Let's talk about the changes here for Talladega after some flips earlier in the summer. A little rail underneath the right side rocker. You can't see it on the racetrack, but it wants to slow the airspeed down. The window rail was in Daytona, but the right side roof rail taller than it has been at previous races. And unfortunately for those drivers in the accident, they displayed that fabric on the yellow side of the right side roof flap basically makes it a parachute, right? When it opens up, it catches more air. And the whole concept is when this car is built and designed, it's designed for racing, which in this direction right here makes a tremendous amount of downforce. When the car turns sideways, it goes from race car to airplane wing. And the air is so fast over the top of it, and then the air is able to get underneath it that it lifts the car up and flips it over. So there's a great look at that fabric on the 22. It's kind of out of the roof flap right now. So you're trying to slow the air down over the roof of the car and reduce the amount of air going under the car. Changes, at least in this accident, seem to be okay. Still more racing to go, but thankful to see all the cars stay on their tires.
Frustratingly, Josh Berry, for the second week in a row, gets towed back. This is John Hunter Nemechek. This is Chase Elliott. Again, 28 cars involved. It's going to have significant playoff implications, especially for two Penske drivers, Joey Logano, Austin Cindric. Both are below the cut line.
And how all of these different drivers are dealing with this is going to be very interesting. Parker.
Catching up with Mike McDowell, who led the most laps today. You were involved in that incident on the backstretch. What was your viewpoint?
I didn't have one. By the time, I was 12th, 13th at the time, and all I saw was cars spinning and trying to avoid it. So I didn't see what caused it or what started it. But unfortunately, we were right in the middle of it and kind of got hit on both sides and thought maybe we could get it rolling, but just couldn't get it to move. So hated for everybody on this left shop stop Ford Mustang. Super fast again. Had a lot of speed. But that happens at the end of these races. I mean, we just didn't execute what we needed to be in the front to miss it, and that kind of happens here.
Talk to me about how aggressive these pushes get late in these races, and how do you hold on to them when you get big pushes like that?
Yeah, when you get down to 5, 6 to go, you feel like it's coming. And where I was sitting on the racetrack, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to avoid this. You really want to be in those first 2 or 3 rows. And I don't even know where it started. It might have happened in the first 2 or 3 rows. But you feel better when you're up near the front.
Rome has taken everything from me, but I will have my vengeance.
Gladiator rage is your gift. Never let it go. It will carry you to greatness.
But yeah, it's just part of it at the end of these races, and you're pushing really hard. And you're just trying to get your lane moving. You're just trying to get some momentum, and yeah, just kind of along for the ride.
Unfortunate result, Dave, for Mike McDowell.
So Parker, if it's a right rear lower control arm, they are out. If it's a right rear toe link, they can repair it. Steve, the list of things you can do once you're towed back here like this is not an extensive one.
It's not an extensive list, but Dave, this is going to be pretty controversial in the garage area because the rule says if you have more than slight contact and you can't return to the pits, then your day is over, and that comes down to the decision of the tower. We had Blaney complaining about this at Watkins Glen. Now, his car ended up having pretty severe damage. Josh Berry, a week ago on lap 1, claiming that they should have been brought back to pit road. And now we have the 14 and the 9 of Chase Elliott, who has been towed back to pit road. Kim, what are you hearing on the 9?
Yeah, Chase Elliott, he kind of waited because there were so many cars in that accident that he was one of the last to be serviced by the crew. He felt like he was just wedged on the banking, that the car was going to be okay. Got a tow to his pit stall. They're working on left front clearance is the first priority. Then they're going to check the suspension, but they do think they're going to be able to go back on the racetrack. Chase being towed to his pit stall after a lengthy wait on the crew.
Now, the goal of the damaged vehicle policy is not to take cars off the racetrack that can compete. The problem is it has to be clearly written that it can be officiated the same for everyone. And I'm just not sure in situations like Talladega where there's this many cars in the wreck. I mean, we showed you how many replays, Jeff. I can't tell you who had light contact or heavy contact and how much damage they have. So, what is an acceptable amount of damage? Here's Harrison Burton in the 21 also getting towed back to his pit stall. So this is 3 cars being towed back.
Hendrick crew go to work on the 9. Have a look at this. As far as playoff drivers who had trouble so far, Atlanta 13 of the 16. The Glen, Bristol had the least amount. And let's talk more about that because Christopher Bell kicked it off. He got a penalty and had to go to the rear of the field. So too did Daniel Suarez, but Daniel Suarez had to serve a pass-through, a drive-through penalty.
Yeah, then in trying to get back in the pack, he's trying to merge up in front of BJ McLeod and just drives up in front of him, gets himself spun out.
And then a big impact for the 12 of Blaney, a push from the 48, turns the 12 around as he comes up. Big contact with the 1 of Chastain and the wall.
There it is again. Even though it was in crash mode, he came across the line for 8th place in the second stage. And that was just the beginning of it in reality, because in this 28-car pileup, there were playoff drivers everywhere. There were a few who skipped through, like Christopher Bell, like Kyle Larson, like William Byron. But for the rest, like Chase Briscoe, like Chase Elliott, and others, wrong place, wrong time. Austin Cindric, Joey Logano.
And those 28 cars that were involved, that's the biggest big one wreck that's documented in history. So, that'll have a huge bearing on the playoffs too. I mean, so many guys. Austin Cindric comes to mind. He was sitting there in position to win this race. And he's probably gonna go to the Roval kind of in a must-win situation. Briscoe potentially as well.
Speaking of the Roval, Jeff, there's been plenty of action there over the years, and that's what's next on the playoff menu.
Ready to check 1, 2? Yeah, I gotcha. Beautiful October day. It's Charlotte Roval. Trying to get some more points, trying to get a race win. You're the best man out here. You got the best car out here. Go get them. Green.
No pressure. Keep taking.
Easy. Watch out, Vaughn. Check. Come through. Trying to get through. You got a fast car. Get wild here. Be aggressive. Clear. Check up. Keep it straight. It's so close. Still 1. It's all you. I love you guys. Love you, brother. Love you, man. Dinger's house, baby. Oh, it's going to be an exciting end to the round of 12 to determine who will be the 8 drivers to advance. Here's the menu for next weekend on the CW. NASCAR Countdown Live for the Xfinity Series and Xfinity Series Racing at 4 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. On Sunday, back on network television here on NBC. 2 o'clock is Countdown to Green. 2:30 will go racing in the final round of 12. All right, we've been hearing from the drivers when they get released from the Infield Medical Center. Who's next? Parker?
Well, Lee, we have Joey Logano here, who was pushing the 6 of Brad Keselowski, who got into the back of Austin Cindric down the backstretch. Did you know how big a run that you guys were creating there, and could you have done anything different?
I don't think we could have done much different. I mean, we had the bottom kind of working fairly well, and our timing got a little bit off of 2 from what we have been doing, and we got pushed from the 21 that transferred to the 6, and it transferred to the 2 just at a bad angle. Off he went.
Is there anything in terms of you guys when you were down there trying to get the car rolling that maybe you were trying to get going there? What stopped you from being able to continue?
It's a disaster down there. I don't really know what to tell you. Put inner liners in the cars, I guess. It's a disaster because everyone's just sitting on flat tires and wants to roll, but they can't because they're on flat tires. And we got this machine that's going to plug up the rear tires, or at least jack up the back of the car. But if you're flat on the front, you still can't steer. I'm going to stop now, but it's a disaster.
And guys, just listening to the team radio, they were pretty frustrated in trying to get that car rolling and the situation down there.
The Yellawood 500 here at Talladega has played a pivotal role in these 2024 NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. A beautiful afternoon turned ugly for key playoff players. And there is a race still to be won.
Well, that's the point. As we look forward to the guys that were able to miss this, Stenhouse, Keselowski, Byron Larson. Remember, everyone didn't come in and fill their cars up with fuel. The last time the leaders were on pit road, it was a quick gas-only stop. So it's going to be very interesting as we see overtime now. We extend the distance of this race. How much fuel did they put in? It's impossible for us to know. We're going to have to just kind of see if all the teams have enough in it for a green-white checkered finish.
So we're getting ready to finish off the day. We're going into overtime, as Steve mentioned. 28 cars involved in the accident that has caused the race to go into overtime, and this most recent caution. That's the biggest in history as far as the amount of cars in the, air quotes, big one here at Talladega. Chase Elliott trying to stay in play if he can. He is one of those playoff drivers affected. So too Chase Briscoe. Meanwhile, it's going to be a mad scramble. I wonder, fellas, today if Kyle Larson feels this is the day that his luck has finally changed here at Talladega. He said, we've had speed, we've been good. He said, we usually get caught up in somebody else's dramas. And Larson was able to skip through and around that 28-car pileup. Let's talk more about the 5. Here's Kim Kuhn.
And Lee, luck was the conversation when I was on the 5 hauler this morning talking with Kyle Larson and his crew chief, Cliff Daniels. They talked about his skill set here. And what makes you good at every other racetrack is not necessarily what makes you good here. He can't carve through traffic like he can at other tracks. Still, he is a great super speedway racer. They said the best thing for them today is if they have luck on their side. And I asked Kyle, what would you feel? What would be the emotion getting your first super speedway when he would just say, finally. Finally was the words he would say, Marty.
Kim, I think the issue Steve brought up a moment ago about these cars having enough fuel is maybe a bigger issue than we're thinking it might be. Several times, Rudy Fugle has told William Byron, the highest running playoff driver right now, sitting in third, do not swerve your car, do not warm up your tires coming to the green here. And he just told him a moment ago, Steve, we have enough fuel for one overtime finish. I think even that is going to be close, but we do not have enough for a second overtime.
Well, the concern is not only the positions you would lose if you run out of gas, but if you run out of gas in front of the field, do you cause another accident and does it take you out of the race? Let's listen to the 24 radio.
We'll just see what happens. So let me know. Let me know. We just have to be ready.
Okay. 10-4.
Fuel pressure's good, right?
Yes, at the moment, yep.
That sounds like a nervous Rudy Fugle on the radio. They've done everything so right for so long in this race. You just, if you're Rudy Fugle, you hope it works out with the fuel.
Yeah, and on top of that, Steve, there's only 22 cars in the lead lap. So, what is it worth risking? You had all these cars that got into the wreck. You're in great shape. Do you want to run out of gas and give away that advantage from all those cars being in the wreck? That's a tough call for the crew chiefs.
Our Hall of Famers, Dale Jarrett, Jimmy Johnson, are on the Peacock pit box. Jimmy, what's it like to go into overtime at a super speedway?
Well, you've got another shot at it. In most instances, you're happy you weren't caught up in the wreck. but then you hear your crew chief's voice and the concern about fuel, and then you start stressing all over again. So it seems like that's what these guys are fighting with right now.
Yeah, and as you run more laps under caution here, yeah, you're using maybe half of what it would take to run a normal lap, so that's only getting worse for them. My experience, too, late race restarts, after big wrecks, you think, okay, everybody's going to be a little more calm here. Not the case whatsoever. Going to be the pushing and shoving is going to continue, correct?
I totally agree. I'm not sure what the odds are, how to place a bet right now, but I would bet that there's going to be another caution, and this is going to go again.
Back to you guys.
So we're getting ready for a dramatic finish. The day has been dramatic, but the day was exciting with the 3 and 4 wide racing for a long period of time. We'd been going for some almost 50 minutes of green flag racing until the big one. So the field was in a good rhythm. Green flag pit stops, different strategy. It was all playing out. There was a lot of variability.
So now, how do we execute this? Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has won on these types of racetracks. He is going to pick, and Keselowski, I'm sure, is going to pick next to him. And then it's about who's going to push. What guy is going to give the best push? How do you leave the restart zone with the right momentum? One of the things you can't control is what happens behind you, but what you can do is do your job and give the guy behind you every reason to stay with you. Sometimes, Steve, you might want to get a good launch, get going, and then drag a little brake to get that guy behind you hooked up to you and keep that brake applied just a little bit to stay hooked up, because two cars together will go faster even if you're dragging a little bit of brake.
You see the big mark on the side of Stenhouse's car from the impact when that big wreck kicked off. I mean, if Stenhouse can convert this into a victory, this is going to be extraordinary. The last time Ricky won, it was on a big track too. It was last year's Daytona 500.
What I find interesting is how aggressive are William Byron and Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell going to be. They have so many people in trouble here. They're in the garage, they're out of the race, they're having problems. Do you want to get in a wreck? You can take advantage of this situation.
Well, how about the 8 of Kyle Busch?
Yeah.
So close, so many. Just last week, gets into the wall, and here he is. You know, back here in row 3, the 3 of Austin Dillon, one at Richmond, didn't get him into the playoffs. There's so many different stories. You have Justin Haley running 9th and only a second start for Spire. He won for Spire in a lightning delayed race at Daytona.
Yeah.
We would like to find another Victory Lane trophy. Denny Hamlin in 10th. That wreck kind of salvaged the day for Denny Hamlin, who's now 30 points to the good.
Larson's going to be racing one of his teammates in William Byron to his outside. Christopher Bell, fellow playoff driver, is tucked in behind. And considering that Bell started the day with a penalty at the back of the field, are you ready to go? The big one is done. We've got a race to finish, and there's a race to be won. The Yellawood 500 here at Talladega Superspeedway going into overtime. The fans on their feet. Let's go! Who's got the magic on the big track? They played nice for so long. But now the gloves are off in overtime.
The outside lane has more cars lined up. Here comes Christopher Bell to the 5.
Look at Kyle Busch, that blue 8 on the top line. Doing what he can. Eric Jones in the pink and white car in the mix. Keselowski on the low line.
Both front rows got separated from each other. Now they're trying to get hooked back up.
The driver of car number 6 has won here 6 times. Stenhouse is fighting back on the outside. Van Gisbergen goes really wide and high. White flag out. Next flag will end the race.
Kyle Busch to the outside.
Overtime presented by Credit One Bank. Who's got the magic in these final 2.5 miles? Busch is out of it. He's been sent back. Stenhouse in the green and white machine. William Byron, Brad Keselowski, and Kyle Larson in the 5. We've had some dramatic finishes this year, and it's got that feeling about it again. Keselowski got bounced bounced out of the playoffs at the last round. The Built Submarines car is in front, but for how much longer? Here comes Ricky Stenhouse Jr. through the tri-oval. Keselowski down low, Stenhouse high, Byron goes for it on the outside.
Good work, dude. Let's see if we get it.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. wins for the first time since he won the Daytona 500. Check out how close this was. Wow. 0.06 of a second.
And that'll get Brad Keselowski's going to relive this one.
Cow.
Watch right here. Brad gets the big push from Larson, but just not enough.
This is the run to the line for Keselowski.
Gladiator, do you have a name?
My name is Lucius Ferrus Aurelius, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
And William Byron ducks to the outside. He thought he may have had a chance right on the line as well. Look at this for a finish. At the end of a very dramatic day here at Talladega.
Yeah, so watch this right here. Kyle Larson pushes Brad Keselowski, pushes him to the lead. At this point, Brad has a decision to make. What am I going to do? Am I going to block or not? He puts no defense to the 47, gives the 47 a clear path. I thought he was going to get by with it here. I thought his patience was going to pay off, but it just simply doesn't. Not enough push from Larson to get him back in the lead.
Well, remember the spring. It was a block between McDowell and Keselowski that caused the big wreck and eliminated both. I don't hate the strategy at all. I thought it was going to pay off too, Jeff, but in the end, look at the bird out by Stenhouse, out the window, rear tires spinning.
He knows how to get it done on the big tracks, doesn't he? What a finish, Marty.
The pride of Olive Branch, Mississippi. And by the way, happy birthday to Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who turned 37 on Wednesday. And here comes the JTG Daugherty group, the Kroger gang, in to celebrate with Ricky Stenhouse, who wins at Talladega.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, sweet. Woo! Boy, Ricky, 6/1000ths of a second. What was your take on that final, really half lap?
Felt really good. We had our, Chevy teammates behind us, and I was hoping Kyle wasn't going to push the 6 that hard. I knew the 24 was probably going to try and, get to the line there, but man, this team has put a lot of hard work in. Obviously, we haven't won since the 523, and it's been an up and down season. It was a lot of hard work this season, just trying to find a little bit of speed, but we knew that, this track is one of ours to come get. So for all of our southern Mississippi people, appreciate y'all coming. This means a lot, winning here. Got to say, we're thinking about everybody in Western North Carolina. Brad Daugherty, his family, right where he grew up there in Black Mountain. A lot of people are struggling. I wish my wife and son Stetson were here. They didn't come this weekend, but I'll see y'all at home. And man, what a day! Just proud of this group, the whole Kroger, Palm Olive, NOS Energy Drink. There's so many people. Sunny D. There's so many people that help this. Campers Inn, and man, there's just so many great product partners in this Kroger program, and glad to get him another win.
Yeah, Madison and Stetson didn't make the trip, but what do you think that hug's going to be like from the big guy when he's back at the track, Brad Daugherty?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him. I'm looking forward to going to North Carolina and helping the cleanup. We're working on that now with Team Rubicon to go out there and help clean up. So looking forward to that. This win's really, really special.
Boy, what a finish. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. gets back to victory lane here at Talladega, Lee.
Awesome performance and lovely dedication too to those people who are suffering. As we bring you the updated points, and why is William Byron highlighted in yellow, fellas? He advances to the round of 8.
He advanced with points. He didn't take a win. Bell has to be feeling good, as well as Larson, Hamlin, maybe even Bowman, but then it starts to get very tight down there around the cut line with a Roval next week.
Ryan Blaney had to be sick when he got in that wreck early in the race, but then that late race wreck kind of saved him a little bit. Easy, Ricky, easy.
Oh, man.
And remember, you see how tight those points are. Do not forget, the Roval is new this year. There are a lot of changes to it, and there are a ton of unknowns. A lot of drivers have been looking at it, checking it out, and there are some high nerves about what it's going to take to get it done next week to get into the next round of the playoffs.
Did our man just climb over the fence and come down the flag stand?
I hope not.
I mean,
like
Ricky,
he's fired up.
I feel like we shouldn't be showing this.
Come on, Ricky.
That's how much it means to him.
Oh, look at this. Oh, I love it.
Hey, we're on a roll here, by the way. Do you know that Ricky's the 9th different winner in as many races here at Talladega? The variability has been good. The racing was terrific today. There was a big one, the biggest one ever, involving 28 cars. Here is the menu for you next weekend. The important times and days. NASCAR Xfinity Series on the CW on Sunday. Countdown to Green kicks off at 2 p.m. Eastern. And racing at the Roval. It's the final race in the round of 12. William Byron has already advanced. And who will be the other 7 drivers? NASCAR and motorsports coverage is available as always on NBCSports.com. Coming up next on NBC, local news except on the West Coast. Later at 7 p.m. Eastern, Football Night in America, followed by Cowboys Steelers. On behalf of the entire team, this is Lee Diffie saying have a great night.
This copyrighted telecast